Hello there, and welcome to Biology with Charles, where science meets the everyday world. In this corner of the internet, we explore the mysteries of the body, the mind, and the processes that make us tick. Today, we dive into something that's universally experienced yet often misunderstood: adrenaline. Now, adrenaline is one of those things we all know about, mostly from movies or the occasional run-in with fear or excitement. It's the rush we feel when we're scared, but it's also the energy that fuels thrilling experiences like skydiving or riding a roller coaster. There's more to it than just a surge of energy, though. Adrenaline, also known as epinephrine, is a key player in a complex and fascinating physiological response, one that is rooted deep in our evolutionary history. Have you ever noticed that feeling when you're about to do something risky, whether it's stepping onto a stage or diving off a high platform? The moment your heart races and your hands get a little sweaty, that's adrenaline at work. The strange part, you might even enjoy it. In fact, many people actively seek out these feelings. It's a unique experience where fear and excitement seem to blend together. This curious mix of emotions raises an important question. Why does fear, something that is meant to be avoided, sometimes feel so exhilarating? Before we break down how adrenaline works, let's take a moment to think about it. When was the last time you felt a surge of adrenaline? Perhaps it was during a stressful moment at work or school, or maybe it was when you were doing something thrilling, something that made your heart pound and your senses feel heightened. Whatever it was, the rush of adrenaline is often associated with heightened awareness, physical changes, and a sense of power or control. But it's not just about feeling alive or alert. There's a whole cascade of biological processes that unfold in these moments, and they're designed to prepare your body for either fight or flight. The history of how adrenaline evolved to benefit us is just as fascinating as the experience itself. As we journey through this topic, I invite you to think about your own experiences with adrenaline. What makes you feel that rush? Are you someone who enjoys it, or does it cause anxiety? Your own body, shaped by millions of years of evolution, reacts to this chemical surge in a way that is unique to you, and understanding why might help explain how fear and excitement can be one and the same. If you find this soothing, or even just interesting, I'd appreciate it if you gave this video a like. Maybe subscribe to join me for more explorations into the world of biology. Now let's dive deeper into the science behind this fascinating process and uncover the power that adrenaline has over our bodies and minds. Adrenaline. It's the rush you feel before stepping on stage, the jittery excitement before a big presentation, or the sense of invincibility when you've conquered a physical challenge. The chemical name for adrenaline is epinephrine, and it's a hormone that plays a key role in your body's response to stress, excitement, and even fear. Whether you're experiencing a life-threatening situation or a moment of intense thrill, adrenaline is the body's way of preparing itself to react in the most efficient and quick manner possible. But the question remains, why does something as instinctual as fear come with such an exhilarating feeling? It's not just in the movies or in stories of heroic acts that we encounter adrenaline. We experience it regularly, sometimes without even noticing. Adrenaline is involved in a wide range of activities, from physical exertion to emotional stress, and even in moments of excitement or heightened anticipation. You've probably heard the phrase, the thrill of fear, but what exactly is happening in your body to make that fear feel so exciting? To understand that, we need to dive into the process behind the hormone itself and how it functions. At its core, adrenaline is part of a larger system known as the fight or flight response. This biological reaction prepares your body to either fight or run from a perceived threat. It's a deeply ingrained process that goes back to our evolutionary ancestors, where it served as a life-saving mechanism in dangerous situations. When your brain detects danger, whether it's a predator, a stressful work situation, or even an exciting roller coaster ride, it signals the adrenal glands located on top of your kidneys to release adrenaline into your bloodstream. This flood of adrenaline triggers a series of physiological changes in your body, all of which are meant to prepare you for quick action. One of the first things adrenaline does is increase your heart rate. It makes sure that blood is pumped faster, delivering oxygen to muscles and critical organs so they can perform at their peak. Your respiratory rate increases as well, helping to bring in more oxygen, which is vital for sustaining energy during physical exertion. It also diverts blood flow away from non-essential functions like digestion and focuses it on your muscles, heart and brain. This process primes your body for action, allowing you to either run away from danger or stand your ground and fight. Beyond the physical changes, adrenaline affects your mind too. Your senses become sharper, your reaction time faster, and your awareness of your environment heightens. This is why people often report feeling a sense of clarity or hyper-focus in moments of stress or fear. The body is essentially tuning into its surroundings at the highest level, making sure you don't miss a thing. All of these changes happen in a split second, without you needing to consciously think about them. This is one of the reasons why adrenaline feels so natural, almost instinctual. But here's where things get interesting. Not all situations that trigger adrenaline are life-threatening. In fact, in many modern scenarios, adrenaline is triggered not by real danger, but by perceived threats or even exciting challenges. It's the feeling you get when you're anticipating something thrilling, like an upcoming concert or a competitive sports game. For some, that feeling is addictive. The rush of adrenaline that you experience from something like bungee jumping or racing on a go-kart track can feel exhilarating. Even though there's no real danger, the body reacts in the same way as if there were. This blend of fear and excitement can seem paradoxical. Why would something potentially harmful like fear feel so good? The answer lies in the way the body and mind interpret these sensations. While fear might be uncomfortable, it's often coupled with a sense of control or achievement. The body's response to adrenaline includes the release of dopamine, the feel-good hormone, which is also associated with pleasure and reward. So even in the face of fear, adrenaline can create a feeling of euphoria, a mixture of the stress response with a sense of satisfaction. It's this combination of the intense, heightened awareness brought on by fear, along with the pleasurable aftermath of adrenaline's effects, that can make these moments feel exciting rather than purely distressing. For many people, these feelings of excitement become something they seek out. Known as thrill-seeking behavior, this tendency to chase adrenaline-pumping activities is often linked to a personality trait called sensation-seeking. Sensation seekers are individuals who actively look for intense experiences, whether through extreme sports, roller coasters, or even just a risky decision made on a whim. The excitement of fear, amplified by adrenaline, becomes a kind of reward in itself. For these individuals, adrenaline is not just a fuel for survival. It's an essential part of their emotional and psychological makeup. But not everyone experiences adrenaline in the same way. Some people thrive on it, while others find it overwhelming. Those who are more sensitive to stress might experience heightened anxiety or fear when adrenaline kicks in. For them, the same physiological changes that others associate with excitement might instead feel like pure stress. This difference in perception is partly due to genetics and partly due to how an individual has learned to manage or cope with fear and excitement. For some, the very act of feeling afraid or excited triggers anxiety, while for others it serves as an invitation to step into something thrilling. So what is it about adrenaline that makes it feel like both fear and excitement? The key lies in how we interpret the physiological and psychological effects. When you're in a situation that triggers adrenaline, your body is experiencing a cascade of events designed to prime you for survival. The fear is real. It's part of your evolutionary programming. But because your body and mind are also wired to find reward in overcoming fear or meeting a challenge head-on, you end up feeling a mixture of both fear and excitement. The fear isn't just something to run from, it's part of what makes the experience feel so alive. Now that we've explored how adrenaline works and why it's linked to both fear and excitement, the next step is to understand how this hormone has influenced our behavior, both in ancient times and in the modern world. It's easy to see how adrenaline could be a life-saving force when it's triggered by danger, but what about the ways we use it today in activities like sports or entertainment? What makes us seek out that exhilarating rush of adrenaline, even when there's no actual threat to our survival? The human body has always been designed to respond to fear and excitement, but as we've evolved, we've found new ways to channel that energy. Whether it's through extreme sports, thrill rides, or even our daily stressors, adrenaline remains a key player in our lives, connecting us to both our ancient survival instincts and our modern experiences of pleasure and challenge. Fear is a natural and primal emotion, one that has been deeply embedded in our biology for millions of years. It is the body's immediate response to perceived danger, and this response is a survival mechanism that enables us to act quickly when our safety is threatened. From a biological standpoint, fear is not just a feeling, it's a complex, coordinated reaction that involves the brain, the nervous system, and a host of physical changes that prepare us to face danger. But while fear is often seen as something to avoid, it is also what makes us resilient. It's the trigger for the rush of adrenaline, which in turn prepares us for either fight or flight. Understanding how the body responds to fear is essential to grasping why that feeling, though uncomfortable, can also be exhilarating. At the heart of the fear response is the amygdala, a small almond-shaped cluster of nuclei located deep within the brain. This region is responsible for processing emotions, especially those related to threat or fear. When something in your environment triggers fear, whether it's an actual danger or a stressful situation, the sensory information is sent to the amygdala, which processes it and determines if the threat is real or perceived. If the amygdala senses a potential danger, it activates the hypothalamus, which serves as a command center for the body's fight or flight response. The hypothalamus has a direct line to the adrenal glands which sit atop your kidneys. In response to signals from the hypothalamus, the adrenal glands release adrenaline, epinephrine, into your bloodstream. This is the moment when the rush begins. Adrenaline circulates throughout your body, rapidly influencing multiple systems to prepare you for action. Your heart rate increases, your blood pressure rises, and your muscles become primed for physical exertion. All of these physiological changes happen almost instantaneously, equipping you with the physical and mental tools to respond to danger. But it's not just the physical changes that make the fear response so intense. Fear also sharpens your mind. The flood of adrenaline increases the release of glucose into your bloodstream, giving your muscles and brain the energy they need to respond quickly. At the same time, the brain becomes more alert, heightening your senses and making you more aware of your surroundings. Colours might seem more vivid, sounds sharper, and the smallest movement may catch your attention. This increased sensitivity is designed to help you assess your environment quickly, make decisions on the fly, and react appropriately. Your body also releases a number of other stress hormones during this process, including cortisol, which helps regulate your body's use of glucose and fats for energy, as well as the immune system's response to stress. These hormones work together to make sure your body can sustain the heightened state of arousal and perform well under pressure. Cortisol also plays a role in suppressing functions that are not immediately necessary for survival, such as digestion and reproduction, so that all your energy can be focused on dealing with the situation at hand. As you prepare to react, your brain is also processing a vast amount of information, often without you being fully aware of it. The thalamus, another part of the brain that acts as a relay station, helps filter sensory information and directs it to the appropriate areas of the brain. For example, the thalamus sends visual and auditory information to the occipital and temporal lobes, which help you assess the situation and decide what action to take. The hippocampus, which stores memories and contextual information, compares the current threat to similar past experiences to help you decide whether the fear is justified and how you should respond. This complex and rapid processing of information allows the body to take swift action in the face of danger. but the speed at which it happens often means that you're not consciously aware of the depth of your response. You might find yourself reacting before you have time to think, whether it's jumping back from a loud noise or sprinting away from a sudden threat. This is the fight or flight response at work. Your body has already made the decision for you, preparing you to act before your conscious mind can even fully assess the situation. Interestingly, the fear response isn't just limited to life-threatening scenarios. It also kicks in when we experience situations that are stressful or anxiety-inducing, even when there's no immediate physical danger. Think about public speaking, for example. Many people feel nervous or fearful before stepping on stage, and their body responds in much the same way as it would in a dangerous situation. Their heart rate increases, their palms sweat, and their mind becomes more focused on the task at hand. In this case, fear is less about survival and more about preparing the body to deal with an emotionally or mentally challenging task. This heightened state of awareness and energy can also explain why some individuals might seek out fear-inducing activities. The same physiological response that helps you flee from danger can, under controlled circumstances, be turned into something enjoyable. In these situations, the fear response becomes a source of stimulation, not something to be feared. For example, when you're riding a roller coaster, you might feel the fear of heights, the rapid drops, and the speed, but because you know you're in a safe environment, you can enjoy the rush of adrenaline and the heightened sense of awareness it brings. The excitement you feel comes from the intensity of the response, not from the actual danger. The key difference between fear as a survival mechanism and fear as a thrill lies in how we process it. In life-threatening situations, fear is immediate, necessary, and focused entirely on survival. In situations where the stakes are lower, like a scary movie, extreme sports, or a thrilling event, fear still triggers the same biological response, but it can be processed as excitement. The key here is control. When we're in control of the situation, the fear response is seen as exciting and energizing, not something that threatens our well-being. This is why adrenaline rushes are so appealing for some people. There's a thrill in knowing that while the body's reacting as though it's facing danger, there's no real harm. It's fear without consequence. As we move deeper into this topic, it's important to recognize the personal nature of fear and excitement. What triggers the fear response in one person might be a source of enjoyment for another. This variability is part of what makes adrenaline so fascinating. Our bodies are wired to respond to fear, but how we experience it, whether as something to be avoided or something to be sought after, depends largely on our perceptions, past experiences, and even our personalities. Understanding this complex response helps us appreciate not just how fear works, but how we can learn to live with it, control it, and even use it to our advantage in situations that challenge us. Whether you're racing down a hill on a bike or preparing for a big life change, the fear response is always ready to push you into action. The trick is figuring out how to harness that energy, whether it's for survival or for excitement. Adrenaline, though commonly associated with modern-day thrills and anxieties, has its origins deep in human evolution. It is a product of a biological system that has been fine-tuned over millions of years, helping our ancestors survive in a world filled with dangers. The adrenaline rush you experience when you're confronted with stress or danger is a direct reflection of a system designed for immediate survival. This system, known as the fight or flight response, is one of the most basic and essential survival mechanisms that we share with many animals. To truly understand why adrenaline has such a powerful effect on us, we need to look at the evolutionary roots of this response and how it has shaped the way we react to fear and danger. The fight or flight response was first described by the American physiologist Walter Cannon in the early 20th century. He identified this natural reaction as the body's way of preparing for immediate action when faced with a perceived threat. While the phrase fight or flight is often used to describe how humans react to fear, it's important to understand that this response isn't limited to just two options. It also encompasses freeze, a third response which is sometimes invoked when immediate action isn't possible, or when a threat is too overwhelming to confront or escape. This evolutionary mechanism has deep roots in our animal ancestors. Early humans, much like other animals, faced constant threats from predators, environmental dangers, and other challenges that could threaten their lives. The ability to quickly assess danger and decide on an appropriate response, whether to fight, flee, or freeze, was crucial to survival. The fight or flight system helped our ancestors react to these dangers in a split second, ensuring they had the best possible chance of survival. In modern times, the threats we face may not always be physical, but the same mechanisms still kick in when we're confronted with high-stress situations. The moment your brain perceives a threat, a chain of events is set into motion. It starts in the brain's limbic system, specifically the amygdala, which plays a central role in processing emotions and detecting danger. The amygdala sends signals to the hypothalamus, a region of the brain that regulates several bodily functions, including the fight or flight response. The hypothalamus in turn activates the sympathetic nervous system, the part of the nervous system responsible for the body's immediate responses to stress. When the sympathetic nervous system is activated, the adrenal glands, located on top of the kidneys, release adrenaline and other hormones like cortisol into the bloodstream. This surge of adrenaline prepares the body to either fight or flee. The heart rate increases, blood is redirected to the muscles, and breathing becomes more rapid to supply the body with oxygen. These changes are meant to enhance physical strength, speed, and agility, so you can either defend yourself or escape from a dangerous situation. The fight or flight response is part of what's known as the autonomic nervous system, which controls involuntary bodily functions. This system operates without conscious effort, meaning that when your body faces stress, the entire process unfolds automatically. From an evolutionary standpoint, this is a crucial advantage. The speed and efficiency with which the body can react to danger often determine whether or not an individual survives. For early humans, a delayed reaction could mean the difference between life and death in the face of predators like saber-toothed cats or other threats in the wild. But what about the freeze response? This is a lesser known but equally important part of the fight or flight system. When faced with a threat that feels too overwhelming to either fight or run from, some animals, humans included, may instinctively freeze. This response is thought to have evolved as a way of reducing the chance of detection by a predator. Imagine an animal facing a large, dangerous predator. If it cannot fight back or escape, staying still and remaining unnoticed might be its best chance for survival. For humans, the freeze response might be triggered in situations where there is no clear path to either fight or flight, such as in situations of extreme fear, shock, or uncertainty. While fight, flight, or freeze are the most well-known responses to fear, modern humans may encounter situations that are less about survival and more about dealing with stress or challenge. For example, when faced with a difficult task at work or a challenging social situation, the same fight or flight system is activated, even though the threat isn't physical. In these cases, the body's response may not be as drastic as it would be in a life or death situation, but it still triggers the release of adrenaline, causing changes like increased heart rate, rapid breathing, and heightened alertness. This evolutionary mechanism, while beneficial in many ways, also comes with a downside in the modern world. In our fast-paced, often stressful environment, the fight or flight response can be triggered by situations that don't pose any real threat to our survival. Constant stress, anxiety, and pressure can lead to a chronic activation of the sympathetic nervous system, which over time can contribute to health problems such as high blood pressure, heart disease, and digestive issues. In today's world, where physical threats are less common, the fight or flight response has become a response to psychological stressors. This creates a situation where the body's natural survival mechanism, designed for immediate physical danger, can sometimes be overused in non-life-threatening situations. However, it's important to recognize that the fight or flight response isn't inherently negative. In fact, it is a critical aspect of our survival. It has been honed through evolution to ensure that we react quickly and efficiently to immediate threats, helping us to escape dangerous situations or defend ourselves when necessary. The rush of adrenaline associated with this response is not just a physiological reaction, it's an ancient mechanism that has helped shape who we are as humans. Over time, as humans have evolved, our understanding and control of the fear response has also changed. Early humans relied on their fight or flight response primarily for physical survival, whereas today, we often experience this response in situations that are less immediately dangerous but still perceived as threats. As we've learned more about this complex system, we've also developed ways to manage our reactions to fear. Through techniques like mindfulness, stress management, and even controlled exposure to fear, as in extreme sports or roller coasters, we can harness the power of adrenaline for positive purposes. The evolutionary roots of adrenaline and the fight or flight response remind us of our deep connection to the survival mechanisms that have kept our species alive throughout history. While we may not face the same physical threats that our ancestors did, the biological systems that help us react to danger are still very much present in our bodies. Understanding this ancient mechanism and how it still operates in our modern world can give us insight into the ways we react to fear and how we can use that knowledge to live more intentionally and with greater awareness of our own responses to stress and excitement. Adrenaline is often associated with the feelings of fear and excitement that come from thrilling or dangerous situations. But what happens inside the body when this powerful hormone is released? The effects of adrenaline are far-reaching, affecting multiple systems in the body, from your heart and lungs to your muscles and brain. Understanding the exact mechanisms behind adrenaline's action helps explain why we feel the way we do during moments of stress or excitement. When the body detects a threat, whether it's physical danger, stress, or intense excitement, the brain sends a signal to the adrenal glands, located on top of the kidneys, instructing them to release adrenaline into the bloodstream. This is the start of a cascade of physiological changes that will prepare the body for one of the core survival responses: fight, flight, or freeze. Let's break down what happens in the body step by step once adrenaline is released. One of the first effects of adrenaline is an increase in heart rate. This is one of the most noticeable physical responses to fear or excitement. When adrenaline enters the bloodstream, it triggers the heart to pump faster. This is crucial because it ensures that more oxygenated blood is delivered to vital organs and muscles, providing them with the energy needed to respond to the threat or challenge at hand. The increased heart rate is part of a broader mechanism designed to prime the body for quick physical action. Along with the increase in heart rate, adrenaline also causes blood vessels to constrict in areas where blood flow is less immediately necessary, such as the digestive system. At the same time, blood vessels in muscles and vital organs dilate to ensure that these systems receive more oxygen and nutrients. This redirection of blood flow enhances the body's ability to perform physical tasks, whether it's running away from a predator or preparing to engage in a physically demanding task. As heart rate increases, so does the rate of breathing. Adrenaline stimulates the respiratory system, causing your breathing to become faster and more shallow. This ensures that your lungs are taking in more oxygen, which is rapidly delivered to the bloodstream to be distributed to your muscles and brain. Increased oxygen is essential during times of heightened physical exertion, allowing your muscles to work more efficiently and helping to sustain them during a stressful or dangerous situation. At the same time, adrenaline causes the airways in the lungs to dilate, making it easier to take in more oxygen. The combination of faster breathing and expanded airways increases the efficiency of oxygen delivery, preparing the body to react quickly. Adrenaline's effects on the muscles are significant. As blood flow is redirected to the skeletal muscles, these muscles receive an increased supply of oxygen and glucose, both of which are essential for energy production. This prepares the muscles for quick, intense action. The body is essentially primed for fight or flight, enabling rapid movement when needed. In addition to increased blood flow, adrenaline causes the muscles to become tense and more alert. This increased muscle tone helps the body react quickly to changes in the environment, whether it's running, jumping, or defending oneself. The body's heightened sensitivity during an adrenaline surge is why people often experience a feeling of strength and invincibility during stressful or thrilling moments. It's a biological response that makes the body more capable of physical exertion, even beyond what might be typical during normal conditions. One of the fascinating effects of adrenaline is its ability to enhance sensory perception. As the body prepares for action, adrenaline causes changes in the brain that increase awareness of the surrounding environment. Colours may appear more vivid, sounds may seem sharper, and you may become hyper-aware of even the smallest movements. This is a survival mechanism designed to ensure that you're fully aware of your surroundings, alert to potential threats or opportunities for action. This heightened state of awareness is the result of increased neural activity in the brain. Adrenaline acts as a catalyst for this process, enhancing the brain's focus on immediate stimuli. As a result, you're more likely to notice details that you would otherwise overlook. It's one of the reasons why people report feeling like time slows down during moments of intense fear or excitement. Your brain is processing more information in a shorter span of time, giving you a sense of increased mental clarity. In response to the stressor, the body also releases glucose, sugar, from stores in the liver into the bloodstream. Glucose is a primary energy source for the body, and during moments of stress, it provides a quick and easily accessible fuel source for your muscles and brain. This surge of glucose ensures that your body has the energy needed to respond rapidly to the situation. Your muscles, in particular, benefit from this influx of energy, allowing them to contract more forcefully and efficiently. In addition to glucose, the liver also releases fatty acids into the bloodstream. These fatty acids can be used as an alternative energy source if the body's immediate glucose supply is used up. This dual energy source, glucose and fatty acids, ensures that the body has the fuel it needs for both short bursts of intense activity and longer periods of exertion. In high-stress situations, adrenaline also triggers the release of endorphins, the body's natural painkillers. Endorphins help to dull pain, allowing you to continue functioning even when injured. This is particularly important in dangerous situations where an injury might otherwise incapacitate you. With the release of endorphins, the body's pain threshold is temporarily raised, enabling you to push through injuries or physical discomfort as you focus on survival. Endorphins also contribute to the feeling of euphoria or exhilaration that people often report during adrenaline-fueled activities. Whether you're running from danger, competing in sports, or participating in extreme activities, the combination of adrenaline and endorphins can create a sense of heightened energy and pleasure. This is one reason why people sometimes find fear and excitement to be pleasurable, despite the physiological stress involved. Adrenaline's effects extend to the immune system as well. When stress occurs, the body prepares itself not only to respond to immediate physical threats, but also to heal quickly if needed. Adrenaline enhances the body's ability to fight infection by stimulating the immune system. It increases the production of white blood cells, which help fight off infection and promotes the release of certain proteins that aid in healing. While this is an immediate response designed to deal with potential injury or infection, it also underscores the body's comprehensive approach to stress, preparing not just for the moment, but for any potential aftermath. In addition to enhancing sensory awareness, adrenaline also has an impact on cognitive function. As adrenaline floods the bloodstream, it stimulates areas of the brain responsible for memory, focus, and decision-making. This can improve your ability to process information quickly, making decisions in a split second. The brain's heightened focus allows you to assess the situation more effectively and react with precision. It's why many people feel an adrenaline-fueled clarity during high-stress situations, as if their mind is working faster and more effectively than usual. This enhanced cognitive function is particularly useful when you're under pressure. Whether you're trying to outrun danger or make a quick decision in an emergency, Adrenaline sharpens your ability to process information, think strategically, and act with purpose. It's why many people report being able to think clearly and act decisively in stressful situations, even though they might be feeling intense emotions at the same time. The release of adrenaline is a powerful, multifaceted response that prepares the body for immediate action. From the physical changes like increased heart rate and muscle tone to the cognitive and emotional enhancements that sharpen your awareness, adrenaline equips you with everything you need to face a challenge. But while these responses are critical for survival in dangerous situations, they also help explain why fear and excitement can be so closely linked. The body is not just reacting to a threat, it's preparing for action, providing both the physical strength and mental clarity to navigate a wide range of situations. Understanding the science behind this surge of energy helps us appreciate the vital role that adrenaline plays, not just in moments of danger, but in shaping our responses to all forms of fear and excitement. When adrenaline kicks in, the first noticeable change is often a rapid, forceful heartbeat. It's as if your heart is working overtime to prepare for some immediate, intense action. Whether you're facing a stressful situation, participating in a thrilling activity, or encountering danger, the heart's reaction is one of the most immediate and vital responses to the surge of adrenaline. But what's actually happening within your body to cause this increased heart rate, and why does it play such a crucial role in the fight or flight response? The process begins when the brain detects a threat. This could be anything from a potential danger to a high-stakes challenge. Once the brain perceives this threat, it sends a signal to the hypothalamus, which is responsible for regulating many of the body's essential functions, including stress responses. The hypothalamus, in turn, activates the sympathetic nervous system, the part of the autonomic nervous system that governs the body's involuntary responses to stress. The sympathetic nervous system triggers the adrenal glands to release adrenaline into the bloodstream, where it begins its cascade of effects on the body. One of the first organs to react to the presence of adrenaline is the heart. The adrenaline acts on the heart in several ways, all aimed at preparing the body for a rapid response. First, adrenaline binds to specific receptors on the cells of the heart, known as beta-adrenergic receptors. This binding causes the heart's pacemaker cells, located in the sinoatrial SA node, to fire more quickly. The pacemaker cells control the rhythm of the heart, so when they fire faster, the heart rate increases accordingly. This is why, when adrenaline floods the bloodstream, your heart begins to race almost immediately. But the effects of adrenaline on the heart don't stop at increasing the rate of beats. Adrenaline also makes each heartbeat more forceful. It increases the contractility of the heart, meaning that each contraction is stronger and more efficient. This is crucial because the heart needs to pump more blood with each beat in order to deliver oxygen and nutrients to the muscles and organs that will need them for action. With every strong, rapid contraction, blood is sent to critical areas, preparing the body to either fight or flee from danger. Along with an increase in heart rate and the strength of each contraction, adrenaline also causes the heart to beat more irregularly at times. This can lead to palpitations, which is the sensation of feeling your heart pounding or skipping beats. For many, this irregular rhythm might feel uncomfortable, but it's actually part of the body's way of pushing out as much blood as possible in a short amount of time, making sure that oxygen is delivered to the muscles, brain, and vital organs that will need it. The increase in heart rate and the forcefulness of the heart's contractions help to rapidly circulate blood throughout the body. As the heart pumps more blood, it ensures that muscles receive the oxygen and energy they need to prepare for immediate physical exertion. This is one of the reasons why people often feel a burst of strength or energy during moments of high stress or fear. The heart is fueling the body for quick, intense action. Adrenaline also causes the blood vessels in certain parts of the body to constrict, particularly in areas like the digestive system, where blood flow is not immediately necessary. This process, known as vasoconstriction, helps to increase blood pressure and directs blood flow to areas that require it most, such as the muscles, heart, and brain. This shift in circulation ensures that the body can focus its resources on responding to the threat, rather than on less urgent functions like digestion or immune responses. At the same time, the body experiences vasodilation in other areas, primarily the skeletal muscles. The widening of blood vessels in the muscles ensures that oxygenated blood reaches the limbs and major muscle groups, enhancing physical performance. This is especially important when the body needs to react quickly, whether it's sprinting away from a danger or preparing to defend itself. The muscles, now fully supplied with oxygen, glucose, and fatty acids, are ready to perform at their highest capacity. But the effects of adrenaline on the heart and circulatory system are not all geared toward immediate action. They also help to prepare the body for recovery after the threat has passed. The increased blood flow and enhanced circulation mean that once the body is no longer under stress, the heart and circulatory system can work more efficiently to return to a state of balance. Adrenaline helps regulate the transition from high stress to calm, ensuring that the body can recover from the physiological demands placed on it. The heart's response to adrenaline is also linked to the body's ability to adapt to future stresses. While the initial rush of adrenaline may be intense and sudden, repeated exposure to stress and adrenaline surges can lead to long-term changes in the cardiovascular system. Over time, the heart may become accustomed to the increased workload that comes with these surges, and the body may become more adept at managing the physiological changes associated with stress. However, chronic activation of the fight or flight response, particularly in non-life-threatening situations, can lead to negative health consequences such as elevated blood pressure, heart disease, and increased risk of stroke. This highlights the importance of managing stress and understanding how the body's response to adrenaline can impact long-term health. Interestingly, the heart's racing response to adrenaline is not always linked to physical danger. Modern life presents a variety of situations that trigger the same physiological changes, even when there is no immediate threat. For example, public speaking, high-pressure work situations, or even anticipation of an exciting event can trigger the release of adrenaline and the resulting increase in heart rate. These situations, though not life-threatening, still evoke the same basic biological response as a dangerous encounter. This illustrates how our bodies are still wired for a world much different from the one we live in today, a world where immediate threats were far more common. The heart's racing response to adrenaline is an integral part of the body's overall mechanism for responding to fear and excitement. By increasing heart rate, strengthening contractions, and redistributing blood flow to vital areas, the body ensures that it is prepared for rapid action in the face of stress or danger. Whether that stress is real or perceived, the biological effects are similar. This powerful response has been honed over millions of years to help us survive, but it also plays a role in how we experience the world today. Adrenaline is not just a hormone for fear, it's the body's preparation for any challenge, whether it's running from a predator, preparing for a public presentation, or jumping into a thrilling experience. The racing heart is just one piece of the puzzle, signaling the body's readiness for what's to come. Fear and excitement are often seen as opposites, yet they are deeply connected at the physiological level. The same systems that trigger fear are also responsible for the surge of energy and exhilaration we feel during moments of excitement. While fear is typically associated with distress and the desire to avoid danger, excitement can be thought of as a positive, thrilling response that we actively seek. So, how is it that the body can transform the experience of fear into one of enjoyment and exhilaration? Understanding this shift requires us to explore the ways in which the body and mind respond to the physiological changes that come with fear, and how these changes can eventually be interpreted as excitement. At the heart of this transformation is adrenaline, the hormone that drives both the fear response and the excitement that follows. The body's reaction to fear is not inherently negative, it's a survival mechanism meant to prepare the body to respond to a perceived threat. However, the very same changes that occur when we're scared, such as increased heart rate, rapid breathing, and heightened senses, are also the building blocks of excitement. When the body experiences these changes in response to something thrilling or exhilarating, rather than dangerous, the feeling becomes one of excitement rather than distress. This shift from fear to excitement starts with the way the brain processes the stress response. The amygdala, a part of the brain involved in processing emotions, detects a potential threat and signals the release of adrenaline, which initiates the physical changes we associate with fear. These changes, such as the pounding heart, faster breathing, and the flood of energy, are designed to help us react quickly in the face of danger. But when the body is exposed to these changes in a controlled, non-life-threatening environment, such as while riding a roller coaster or participating in an extreme sport, the response begins to take on a different tone. In these scenarios, the fear response is often experienced without the actual presence of danger. While the body is reacting as though it's facing a threat, the individual consciously understands that they are not in harm's way. This awareness is key to transforming fear into excitement. The brain recognizes that the source of the stress is not harmful, but instead, it's a thrilling experience designed to stimulate the body's natural response. As a result, the same physical sensations that typically signal fear, such as rapid heartbeats and heightened awareness, are perceived as enjoyable rather than alarming. The release of adrenaline during moments of excitement also triggers the release of dopamine, the brain's reward chemical. Dopamine is associated with feelings of pleasure and reward, and it's responsible for the rush of positive feelings people experience during thrilling activities. While fear is a response to danger and threat, excitement often involves the brain's recognition of the pleasurable aspects of that fear response. When adrenaline is released in conjunction with dopamine, the result is a combination of heightened physical arousal and mental pleasure, turning a potentially uncomfortable feeling into one of exhilaration. For many people, this combination of fear and pleasure becomes addictive. The experience of fear without danger, such as during a thrilling ride or while watching a horror movie, creates a form of excitement that can be both enjoyable and safe. Over time, people may start seeking out experiences that trigger this rush of adrenaline, as the brain associates the intense physical sensations with pleasure and excitement. This is why extreme sports, horror films, and other adrenaline-pumping activities are so popular. They offer the body's natural rush of fear, paired with the enjoyable feelings of excitement. But not everyone experiences the transformation from fear to excitement in the same way. Some people are naturally more sensitive to stress and anxiety, which means they may find fear-inducing activities more overwhelming than thrilling. For these individuals, the surge of adrenaline may trigger a greater sense of distress rather than excitement, and they may be less inclined to seek out such experiences. Others, particularly those who are more sensation-seeking, may be more likely to view fear as a challenge to overcome, and the adrenaline rush becomes something they actively pursue. The difference between fear and excitement is largely based on perception. In moments of fear, the brain interprets a situation as dangerous, triggering the body's natural survival mechanisms. However, when the brain perceives the situation as safe or controllable, such as during a thrill-seeking activity or a controlled exposure to fear, the body's response is still the same, but the emotional experience shifts. Rather than focusing on the threat or the distress of the situation, the mind begins to focus on the enjoyment of the experience itself, turning fear into a thrilling sensation. The key factor here is control. When you know that you're in a safe environment, the brain is able to reframe the fear response as excitement. This shift is also influenced by the context of the experience. In competitive sports, for instance, athletes may experience fear as part of the pressure to perform at their best. However, once the challenge is framed as a game or a contest, the fear associated with the possibility of failure transforms into a source of motivation. Similarly, the fear of performing in front of an audience can quickly turn into excitement once the individual gains confidence and focuses on the experience itself rather than the potential for failure. The physical sensations, like the racing heart and heightened awareness, are still present, but the emotional interpretation shifts from fear to excitement, fueled by the anticipation of success, achievement, or enjoyment. This phenomenon is also what makes certain experiences, like watching a horror film, so intriguing. While the body reacts to the scary images on screen with a rush of adrenaline, the knowledge that the situation is fictional and harmless allows viewers to enjoy the experience rather than be paralyzed by fear. The body's physical response to fear, paired with the mental understanding that there is no real danger, creates an emotional experience that can be both exciting and thrilling. The same mechanisms that cause people to jump at sudden scares or feel their hearts race during tense moments are what make the horror genre so appealing. The fear is real, but the threat is not, and this contrast creates an emotional rush that many people find entertaining and enjoyable. The shift from fear to excitement is not only about personal perception, but also about the environment in which the fear is experienced. Social and cultural factors can play a role in how fear is interpreted. In some cultures, thrill-seeking activities are highly valued, and individuals are encouraged to face their fears in a controlled way. In others, fear may be seen as something to be avoided or suppressed. These cultural attitudes can influence how people respond to fear and how they experience the rush of excitement. The societal framework in which fear is experienced can shape whether the physical sensations of adrenaline are viewed as something to be feared or something to be embraced. Ultimately, the transformation from fear to excitement is a fascinating blend of biology and psychology. The body's response to fear, driven by the release of adrenaline, prepares us for action by heightening our physical capabilities and mental clarity. When fear is experienced in a safe and controlled environment, the body's natural response becomes something to be enjoyed, an exhilarating rush that heightens our awareness and provides a sense of accomplishment or pleasure. The same processes that once helped our ancestors escape predators or confront danger now allow us to enjoy the thrill of the unknown, making the connection between stress and excitement a central part of human experience. Thrill-seeking is a behavior that many people are familiar with, even if they don't actively seek it out. From the adrenaline rush of skydiving to the excitement of watching a horror movie, the desire to engage in activities that trigger fear or excitement is part of the human experience. But why do some people actively pursue these experiences while others shy away from them? What is it about fear and the physiological responses it triggers that make it feel so pleasurable for some? To answer these questions, we need to look deeper into the psychology of thrill-seeking and the factors that influence our desire for intense experiences. At the most basic level, thrill-seeking can be understood as an innate drive to experience heightened states of arousal. This drive is not limited to just physical activities like extreme sports, but extends to emotional experiences like watching a scary movie or participating in competitive challenges. What many people find fascinating is that the very same feelings that come with fear, like increased heart rate, heightened senses, and adrenaline surges, are also associated with excitement and pleasure. This paradox, where fear and enjoyment are linked, speaks to the complex ways our brains process both danger and reward. The psychology behind thrill-seeking starts with a concept known as sensation-seeking. Sensation-seeking refers to the tendency to seek out novel or intense experiences, particularly those that involve some level of risk or excitement. Some people are naturally drawn to activities that provide strong emotional stimulation, such as roller coasters, extreme sports, or even risky behavior. These individuals are more likely to actively seek out thrilling experiences because they find them enjoyable, stimulating, and rewarding. In contrast, others may find these experiences overwhelming or stressful, preferring to avoid situations that trigger the same level of intensity. One reason some people are more inclined to thrill-seeking behavior is linked to differences in brain chemistry. Studies have shown that individuals who are high in sensation-seeking tendencies tend to have lower levels of dopamine receptors in certain areas of the brain. Dopamine is a neurotransmitter associated with pleasure, reward, and motivation. Lower levels of dopamine receptors may make these individuals less sensitive to everyday stimuli and less likely to experience strong feelings of reward from typical activities. As a result, they may seek out more extreme experiences, such as skydiving or bungee jumping, in order to trigger a larger release of dopamine and feel the same level of pleasure and excitement that others might get from less intense activities. This difference in brain chemistry explains why some people crave high-risk, high-reward activities. When they engage in these experiences, they feel a rush of dopamine that provides a sense of pleasure and satisfaction. The body's natural response to fear, like the release of adrenaline and the heightened sense of alertness, becomes a key part of this pleasurable experience. The intensity of the emotions felt during these activities is a reward in itself, reinforcing the desire to seek out more experiences that trigger these powerful feelings. Additionally, thrill-seeking can be linked to a psychological need for control. Even though activities like roller coasters or horror films are designed to create fear, they're experienced in a safe, controlled environment. The individual knows that they are not truly in danger, and this control over the situation allows them to enjoy the excitement without the actual risk. For some, this sense of control over fear can be empowering. By confronting fear in a controlled way, they prove to themselves that they can manage these emotions and come out the other side unscathed. This process of facing fear, knowing it's safe and still feeling exhilarated, can be highly rewarding and boost one's sense of self-confidence. There is also a social component to thrill-seeking. Engaging in exciting, fear-inducing activities often involves social interactions, whether it's with friends, teammates, or even strangers in the case of competitive events. Sharing these intense experiences can amplify the enjoyment. The social connection, combined with the physiological rush of adrenaline and dopamine, creates a potent emotional cocktail. The experience is not just about the physical sensations of fear and excitement, but also about the shared bonds and feelings of camaraderie that come from participating in a thrilling activity together. This social element is part of why people often seek out thrill-seeking activities in groups, rather than going at it alone. From an evolutionary perspective, the desire to seek out excitement and novel experiences may have had a survival advantage. Early humans, who were more likely to take risks and explore new environments, may have been better equipped to adapt to changing conditions, find new resources, or overcome challenges. While many of the threats that once required a fight-or-flight response are no longer a part of our daily lives, the brain's mechanisms for responding to fear and excitement remain intact. Thrill-seeking behavior can be seen as a remnant of this evolutionary drive to explore and conquer new challenges. However, it's not all about the thrill of the moment. For some, the desire to seek out intense experiences is also about the sense of achievement and personal growth that comes from overcoming fear. For instance, skydiving or bungee jumping isn't just about the rush of adrenaline, it's also about proving to oneself that they can face their fears and push beyond their comfort zones. This desire to overcome challenges and conquer fear can be deeply fulfilling, providing a sense of accomplishment that is tied to personal growth and self-discovery. The more someone successfully engages with fear-inducing experiences, the more they feel empowered and capable, reinforcing their desire to seek out similar activities in the future. It's also worth noting that the context in which thrill-seeking occurs matters. For some, the thrill comes from overcoming perceived challenges in their personal or professional lives, such as competing in a sport, pursuing ambitious goals, or facing tough decisions. The excitement derived from these activities is still tied to the body's natural stress responses, including the release of adrenaline and dopamine, but it is also influenced by the personal significance of the challenge. When people actively choose to take on challenges in their lives, the psychological rewards are amplified, and the sense of excitement or fear they feel during the process becomes more meaningful. However, there is a fine line between healthy thrill-seeking and risky, harmful behavior. While engaging in adrenaline-pumping activities can be enjoyable and rewarding, it's important to recognize that there can be consequences to excessive risk-taking. For some individuals, the pursuit of excitement becomes a form of escapism, a way to cope with boredom, stress, or emotional pain. In these cases, the desire for thrills may lead to reckless or dangerous behavior that ultimately causes harm. Understanding the psychology behind thrill-seeking helps us to recognize the difference between healthy excitement and harmful risk-taking. The psychology of thrill-seeking is complex, shaped by a mix of brain chemistry, personality traits, social factors, and evolutionary history. While some people naturally gravitate toward risk and excitement, others may find such activities stressful or overwhelming. For those who enjoy the rush, the experience of fear and excitement becomes a source of pleasure, fueled by the body's natural response to adrenaline and dopamine. This drive to seek out intense experiences is part of what makes thrill-seeking so compelling, as it taps into our basic need for arousal, novelty, and personal growth. Understanding the psychology behind this behavior not only helps us appreciate the joy that comes with these experiences, but also sheds light on the deeper motivations that drive us to seek them out. When fear grips us, it's not just the body that reacts. The brain plays a central role in orchestrating the entire process. The feeling of fear starts in the mind, and the brain's response is responsible for triggering the cascade of physiological changes that prepare the body for action. Understanding how the brain processes fear and responds to adrenaline provides insight into why fear can feel so intense, and why it can sometimes feel exhilarating or even addictive. The experience of fear begins with sensory input. Our brains are constantly processing information from our environment. But when something potentially dangerous enters the picture, whether it's a loud noise, a threatening person, or an unexpected situation, our sensory systems immediately transmit signals to the brain. These signals are first processed by the thalamus, a structure deep in the brain that acts as a relay station. The thalamus directs the sensory information to the appropriate regions of the brain for further processing. At the same time, a separate signal is sent to the amygdala, which is a small but powerful structure located within the limbic system, responsible for processing emotions. The amygdala is the brain's primary center for detecting threats and generating emotional responses to danger. It is often referred to as the brain's fear center, though it plays a broader role in processing a range of emotions, including anxiety, excitement, and aggression. When the amygdala detects a potential threat, it quickly evaluates the situation and signals other parts of the brain to prepare for action. The amygdala acts almost like a watchtower, constantly scanning for signs of danger and sending out alerts when necessary. Once the amygdala has determined that a threat is present, it communicates with the hypothalamus, which serves as the command center for the body's stress response. The hypothalamus activates the sympathetic nervous system, which is responsible for the fight-or-flight response. This system controls many involuntary processes in the body, including the release of adrenaline from the adrenal glands. The release of adrenaline into the bloodstream triggers the physical changes associated with fear, such as increased heart rate, rapid breathing, and heightened awareness. These changes are designed to prepare the body for immediate action, whether it's to fight off a threat or to flee from danger. In parallel with the physiological changes that occur, the brain also processes the emotional and cognitive aspects of fear. While the amygdala is busy triggering the body's survival mechanisms, the prefrontal cortex, the region of the brain responsible for higher cognitive functions like decision-making, planning, and rational thinking, begins to assess the situation. In moments of intense fear, the prefrontal cortex helps evaluate the threat, weighing whether it is real and whether action is necessary. This region of the brain is where we attempt to control or make sense of our emotions. However, during times of high stress, the brain often prioritizes survival over rational thought. As a result, the response triggered by the amygdala often dominates, leading to automatic reactions that bypass the rational thought processes of the prefrontal cortex. Interestingly, the emotional intensity of fear can sometimes cloud our ability to think clearly. The prefrontal cortex is less active during moments of intense fear, which can impair our judgment and decision-making abilities. This is why people often make quick instinctual decisions in high-stress situations without fully thinking through the consequences. In fact, the body's ability to respond automatically and quickly, without interference from rational thought, is one of the reasons why the fight or flight response is so effective in life or death situations. The brain and body work together in a synchronized way, ensuring that the necessary actions can be taken without delay. However, not all fear responses are rooted in immediate danger. In modern life, the brain still reacts to stress in much the same way as it would in the face of a physical threat. Everyday stressors like public speaking, work deadlines, or relationship issues can activate the same brain regions involved in the fear response. While these stressors are typically not life-threatening, they still trigger a reaction in the brain that releases adrenaline into the body, causing similar physical changes. This is why stressful situations, even when they don't involve a direct threat, can still feel as intense as fear. In cases where the threat is not immediately physical, the brain's response to fear can be influenced by memory and past experiences. The hippocampus, another region of the brain, plays a key role in storing memories and context. It helps us learn from past experiences and use that knowledge to inform our reactions in the future. When the brain encounters a situation that is similar to a past experience, the hippocampus helps trigger an emotional response based on that memory. For example, if someone has previously had a traumatic experience with public speaking, their brain may associate similar situations with fear, even if the immediate threat is minimal. The hippocampus helps the brain determine whether the fear response is appropriate, but the emotional intensity of the reaction can still be strong. One of the reasons fear and excitement are so closely linked is because of the brain's response to novelty. The brain is wired to pay attention to new experiences or unfamiliar situations. When faced with something new or unpredictable, the brain releases adrenaline to prepare the body for potential danger, even when there is no immediate threat. This is why many people find activities like roller coasters or extreme sports so thrilling. They provide a novel experience that triggers the same physiological responses associated with fear, but in a controlled, safe environment. The novelty of the experience, combined with the adrenaline rush, can make these activities feel exciting rather than distressing. The brain's reaction to novelty is one of the key factors in why we enjoy pushing our boundaries and seeking out intense experiences. The psychological aspect of fear is also influenced by the brain's reward system. When we engage in an activity that triggers a fear response, whether it's jumping off a high ledge, riding a roller coaster, or watching a horror movie, the brain releases dopamine, a neurotransmitter associated with pleasure and reward. This creates a sense of enjoyment and satisfaction, even though the body is experiencing the typical physical symptoms of fear. The combination of adrenaline and dopamine results in a powerful emotional response that some people find addictive. The rush of fear, paired with the pleasurable feelings of excitement and satisfaction, can become a powerful motivator for seeking out more thrilling experiences. Understanding how the brain reacts to fear and processes adrenaline helps explain why some people actively seek out fear-inducing experiences while others avoid them. It's a combination of biology, psychology, and personal experience that shapes how we respond to fear. While the physiological response to fear is automatic and hardwired into our biology, our perception of fear is influenced by a variety of factors, including past experiences, personality traits, and our ability to rationalize the situation. For some, fear becomes a source of pleasure and excitement, while for others, it remains a distressing and overwhelming emotion. Ultimately, the way the brain processes fear and adrenaline is central to our experience of both stress and excitement. The amygdala, hypothalamus, and prefrontal cortex work together to trigger the body's automatic response to danger, while other regions of the brain help us interpret and make sense of those emotions. Whether we perceive a situation as dangerous or thrilling depends on how our brain processes the information and how we interpret the physical sensations of fear. For some, that interpretation becomes excitement, and the fear response becomes something to seek out rather than avoid. Understanding the connection between the brain and adrenaline provides valuable insight into why fear can feel so thrilling, and why we often come back for more. Fear is often seen as an uncomfortable, distressing emotion, but its role in survival cannot be overstated. At its core, fear is a protective mechanism, a vital response that has evolved over millions of years to help organisms survive in the face of threats. The release of adrenaline, the hormone that triggers the fight or flight response, is an ancient biological reaction that has enabled species, including humans, to quickly respond to danger. To truly understand the significance of adrenaline and fear, we need to look back to the very origins of these survival mechanisms and explore how they have shaped our evolution. The ancient roots of fear and adrenaline can be traced back to the earliest days of life on Earth. Early organisms, like our distant ancestors, faced constant threats from predators, environmental dangers, and competition for resources. In these harsh conditions, survival depended on the ability to quickly respond to threats, either by escaping danger or defending oneself. Fear, in this context, was not something to be avoided, but something that could save lives. It was essential to survival, as it prompted rapid reactions that could mean the difference between life and death. In primitive animals, the fear response was triggered by direct threats, such as a predator moving in for the kill or a natural disaster on the horizon. When an animal perceived danger, its brain would immediately activate a cascade of physiological changes, including the release of adrenaline. This hormonal surge helped prepare the body for quick action, increasing heart rate, dilating the airways, and redirecting blood flow to the muscles, allowing the animal to flee or fight. These early versions of the fight or flight response were essential for escaping predators or defending against threats in the environment. As early humans evolved, the fear response became more complex, but its roots remained the same. The human brain, particularly the amygdala, has always been deeply attuned to detecting potential threats in the environment. Over time, as humans began to move from being primarily prey to becoming hunters and gatherers, the fear response and the release of adrenaline continue to serve as critical tools for survival. The ability to quickly assess danger and take immediate action was crucial in hunting, protecting territory, and ensuring the survival of the species. The link between fear and adrenaline can be explained through the evolutionary concept of natural selection. Organisms that were able to respond more effectively to danger through heightened fear responses and faster physical reactions had a better chance of surviving and passing on their genes. Over countless generations, this process of selection favoured individuals with more efficient fight or flight responses, leading to the development of the adrenaline-driven reactions we still experience today. In essence, fear and adrenaline were not just beneficial, they were vital for survival, shaping the way humans and other animals respond to stress, danger, and threat. The ancient origins of the fear response go beyond just responding to physical threats. They also influence the development of social structures and behaviours. Early humans faced dangers not only from predators, but also from other groups of humans. Tribal conflicts, resource competition, and the need to protect loved ones created a complex environment in which fear could also be triggered by social threats. The same mechanisms that prepared the body for physical danger were activated when social or group survival was at stake. In these situations, fear not only triggered physical responses like a faster heartbeat and heightened awareness, but also drove decision-making processes related to cooperation, conflict, and alliance building. In this sense, the fear response, driven by adrenaline, played a critical role in the survival of social groups. Communities that were able to respond quickly to threats, whether from predators or rival groups, had a greater chance of maintaining cohesion and protecting their resources. The emotional and physiological aspects of fear, fueled by adrenaline, were crucial in facilitating group survival and ensuring that individuals could act quickly when danger loomed. As humanity evolved and civilizations developed, the sources of fear changed, but the biological responses remained largely the same. Today we face few immediate physical threats compared to our ancient ancestors. Modern humans no longer need to worry about being hunted by wild animals or fighting for survival in the same way. However, our bodies still react to stress and perceive danger in the same way, releasing adrenaline and triggering the fight-or-flight response. The adrenaline rush that occurs when we face modern stressors, such as a high-pressure work situation or an emotional confrontation, may not be life-threatening, but it is still deeply rooted in our evolutionary past. The physiological changes triggered by adrenaline, such as the increased heart rate, the heightened alertness, and the muscle tension, are all remnants of an ancient survival mechanism. These responses, though no longer necessary for escaping predators, are still useful for responding to the stresses of modern life. The body's natural reaction to fear, heightening awareness, preparing muscles for action, and improving physical performance, is still geared towards survival, albeit in a different context. Understanding the ancient origins of adrenaline and fear highlights the way in which our bodies have evolved to cope with danger. Fear is not merely an emotion. It is a complex survival tool, fine-tuned over millennia to help us respond to threats quickly and efficiently. The release of adrenaline triggered by the fear response has shaped the way we react to the world around us. From escaping predators in the wild to managing stress in modern life, fear and adrenaline continue to serve as essential parts of the human experience. The very systems that helped our ancestors survive in the face of constant danger are the same ones that allow us to face challenges, overcome obstacles, and adapt to a rapidly changing world. While the threats we face today may not be the same as those our ancestors encountered, the biological mechanisms that drive fear and adrenaline have not changed. They remain deeply embedded in our DNA, passed down through generations as a means of survival. The ability to experience fear and the physiological response it triggers is a powerful reminder of our evolutionary history and our continued reliance on these ancient systems to navigate the complexities of the modern world. In this way, the fear response is not just an archaic relic. It is a living, breathing part of who we are. The adrenaline rush that comes with fear may feel uncomfortable, but it is also a reminder of our deep connection to the survival instincts that have carried us through the ages. Fear, in its purest form, is a tool of survival, one that has kept our species alive and thriving for millennia. Even in our modern world, where the immediate dangers have changed, fear and adrenaline continue to play an essential role in shaping how we react, adapt, and survive. Fear is a universal experience, yet its physical manifestation is often taken for granted. It is one of the most basic and primal emotions, and its role in survival cannot be overstated. The body's response to fear is highly complex, involving an intricate network of organs, hormones, and neural circuits that work together to prepare the organism for a life or death situation. From the moment we encounter a threat, whether it's a physical danger or an emotional stressor, our body undergoes a rapid series of changes designed to help us survive. To understand the true nature of fear, we need to examine the physiology behind it, the sequence of events that occurs from the brain's initial recognition of danger to the body's full-blown response. The process begins almost immediately when the brain detects a potential threat. The sensory information, whether visual, auditory, or otherwise, is sent to the thalamus, which acts as a relay station for sensory signals. Once the thalamus processes the information, it directs it to the amygdala, a small but crucial part of the brain involved in emotional processing and decision-making. The amygdala is often called the fear center of the brain, because it plays a pivotal role in identifying and responding to threats. Upon receiving the threat signal, the amygdala evaluates the situation and determines whether a response is warranted. If it perceives danger, it triggers the hypothalamus, which serves as the brain's command center for managing many of the body's basic functions, including the regulation of stress responses. Once the hypothalamus has been activated, it sends a signal to the autonomic nervous system, specifically the sympathetic nervous system, which controls the fight or flight response. This system is responsible for preparing the body to either fight the threat or flee from it. This preparation involves the release of a series of hormones, the most important of which is adrenaline. As adrenaline is released from the adrenal glands into the bloodstream, the body begins to undergo a series of rapid and widespread physiological changes. One of the first noticeable effects of adrenaline is an increase in heart rate. This is crucial because the heart needs to pump more blood, and therefore oxygen, throughout the body to ensure that muscles and vital organs are primed for action. The faster heart rate ensures that the body has the energy and resources it needs to respond to the threat. Along with the increase in heart rate, adrenaline also causes the heart's contractions to become stronger. The more forceful contractions allow for more efficient blood circulation, ensuring that the muscles, brain, and other key organs are fully supplied with oxygen and glucose. At the same time, the respiratory system is also activated. The airways in the lungs dilate, allowing for greater airflow and oxygen intake. This is essential for supplying the body with the oxygen it needs to perform under stress. The increased respiratory rate also helps to clear carbon dioxide from the bloodstream, preventing any buildup that could impair physical performance. Rapid, shallow breathing becomes the norm during times of fear, ensuring that the body can take in enough oxygen to fuel immediate physical action. Adrenaline has another crucial effect on the blood vessels. It causes vasoconstriction in certain parts of the body, particularly in areas where blood flow is less immediately necessary, like the digestive system. This redirection of blood flow ensures that more oxygenated blood is sent to the muscles, heart, and brain, regions that are essential for quick action. At the same time, vasodilation occurs in the muscles, ensuring that they are fully supplied with the nutrients and oxygen needed for a swift response. As blood is redirected to critical areas, other physiological changes occur that help to prime the body for physical exertion. One such change is the increase in muscle tension. Muscles become tighter and more responsive, ready for immediate action. This is why people often feel a sense of physical readiness during fearful situations, whether it's a jolt of energy when hearing an unexpected noise or a burst of strength in the face of danger. The body is prepared to fight or flee, and every muscle is primed for that response. Fear also triggers the release of glucose and fatty acids from the liver and fat stores respectively. These energy sources are quickly made available in the bloodstream to fuel the muscles. Glucose is the body's preferred source of energy during intense physical activity, while fatty acids serve as an alternative fuel for longer-lasting energy. The combination of glucose and fatty acids ensures that the body has all the energy it needs to take immediate action. This metabolic shift makes the body more efficient at using stored energy and helps sustain the heightened physical demands of fear and stress. Another important effect of the fear response is the release of cortisol, a hormone often associated with stress. While adrenaline prepares the body for immediate action, cortisol works to maintain the body's ability to handle prolonged stress. It helps regulate the metabolism, ensuring that glucose is available to the muscles and brain. Cortisol also plays a role in suppressing non-essential functions, such as digestion, reproduction, and immune response. In the context of survival, these functions are temporarily less important, as the body focuses its resources on responding to the threat. Along with these hormonal changes, the brain's response to fear also includes heightened sensory awareness. The brain becomes hyper-alert, processing sensory information more quickly and efficiently. The thalamus and other regions of the brain, such as the visual cortex and auditory cortex, work together to ensure that we are acutely aware of our surroundings. This is why, in moments of fear, everything seems more vivid. The colours are brighter, sounds are sharper, and even the smallest movements can seem significant. The brain prioritises the processing of sensory information to ensure that no potential danger goes unnoticed. The response to fear also includes changes to the immune system. While the body's immediate reaction to danger is focused on physical survival, the immune system's role is not ignored. Fear and stress trigger the release of certain immune system cells and proteins that help the body combat any potential infections or injuries that may arise from the stressful event. The immune system prepares to defend against injury or infection, allowing the body to recover from the immediate aftermath of the threat. However, the long-term impact of fear on the body can be detrimental if the stress response is continually triggered. Chronic activation of the fight or flight system, especially in response to everyday stressors, can lead to a variety of health issues. The continuous release of cortisol, the increase in heart rate and blood pressure, and the constant strain on muscles and organs can contribute to conditions like hypertension, cardiovascular disease, and digestive issues. While the fight or flight response is necessary for short-term survival, prolonged activation of this system can have negative effects on overall health. The physiological changes that occur during fear are part of an ancient and well-tuned survival mechanism. These responses have been honed over millions of years, ensuring that our ancestors could respond quickly and effectively to danger. Whether it was fleeing from a predator, defending territory, or responding to a natural disaster, the body's reaction to fear helped early humans survive. Today, even though the nature of threats has changed, the same mechanisms are at work when we face stress or danger. Understanding the physiology of fear, the body's automatic response to danger, helps explain why fear feels so overwhelming and why adrenaline plays such an essential role in our survival. The body's response to fear is not only a reflection of the past, but also a reminder of the powerful evolutionary processes that have shaped our ability to navigate the world today. At first glance, excitement and anxiety might seem like opposites. One is typically associated with positive, pleasurable feelings, while the other is often seen as a negative and distressing experience. However, when it comes to the body's physiological response to both, they are strikingly similar. Both excitement and anxiety can lead to increased heart rate, rapid breathing, a sense of heightened awareness, and the release of adrenaline. So why do we experience these similar physical reactions in two very different emotional contexts? And how can we differentiate between the two? The answer lies in how our brains interpret and label the same physiological response, and how context and perception can shift the experience from excitement to anxiety, or vice versa. When we experience either excitement or anxiety, the autonomic nervous system is activated, specifically the sympathetic nervous system. This system is responsible for the fight or flight response, preparing the body to react to a perceived challenge or threat. The physiological changes that occur, such as a racing heart, increased blood flow to the muscles, and heightened senses, are nearly identical in both cases. The body is primed for action, whether the action is something positive, like a thrilling event or a highly anticipated experience, or something negative, like a stressful situation or a feeling of impending danger. The key difference between excitement and anxiety is in how the brain processes the situation. When we feel excited, the brain interprets the physiological responses as a sign of something enjoyable, thrilling, or rewarding. We often perceive excitement as something that is within our control, an opportunity for positive engagement. On the other hand, when we feel anxious, the brain tends to interpret the same physiological changes as a sign of potential danger, uncertainty, or threat. Anxiety is typically linked to feelings of apprehension or fear, where we perceive the situation as overwhelming or out of our control. This difference in interpretation is largely shaped by our past experiences, expectations, and personal beliefs. For instance, someone who enjoys public speaking might experience the physical symptoms of fear, such as an increased heart rate and butterflies in the stomach. but interpret those sensations as excitement, a sign that they are eager and ready to perform. In contrast, someone who experiences anxiety about speaking in front of an audience might interpret the same physical responses as signs of impending failure or danger. The body's response is the same, but the emotional experience is vastly different because of how the brain frames the situation. One way the brain distinguishes between excitement and anxiety is through its interpretation of the level of control we have over the situation. When we feel excited, we often perceive the upcoming event as an opportunity for enjoyment or achievement, something we can control or influence. For example, going on a roller coaster or preparing for a big presentation might cause a surge of adrenaline. But if we anticipate that the experience will be positive, we label it as excitement. On the other hand, when we feel anxious, the situation is often perceived as uncontrollable or unpredictable. The fear of failure, the possibility of something going wrong, or the uncertainty of the outcome can lead to feelings of anxiety, even though the physical reactions are similar. Interestingly, research has shown that one of the most important factors in determining whether we experience excitement or anxiety is our mindset and ability to reframe the situation. A person who can reframe their anxiety as excitement often experiences a shift in their emotional state. By consciously interpreting the body's response as a sign of readiness, rather than a sign of danger, they can experience an increase in positive feelings, confidence, and motivation. This shift in mindset can lead to a more productive, enjoyable experience, whether in public speaking, performing in a competition, or taking on a challenging task. Our perception of the situation also plays a crucial role in whether we experience anxiety or excitement. For example, the same physiological response to an adrenaline rush could occur in both a high-stakes job interview and an exciting new opportunity, such as a dream job. If we view the situation as a chance to prove ourselves and grow, we're more likely to label the feelings as excitement. If we perceive the same situation as an insurmountable obstacle or a threat to our well-being, we might experience it as anxiety instead. The brain's interpretation of excitement and anxiety is also influenced by the way the amygdala, the brain's fear center, processes emotions. The amygdala plays a significant role in detecting potential threats and activating the body's stress response. When the brain perceives danger, whether it's physical or psychological, the amygdala activates the sympathetic nervous system, releasing adrenaline and preparing the body to react. However, the amygdala is also capable of processing more neutral or positive experiences as exciting, provided that the emotional context aligns with a sense of anticipation or achievement. In this way, the same physiological reaction of increased heart rate and alertness can be linked to either excitement or anxiety, depending on how the brain processes the emotional context. There is also a social element at play when it comes to excitement and anxiety. Social interactions, performance situations, and the expectations of others can have a significant impact on how we experience these emotions. For example, the anticipation of a social gathering may cause a person to feel excited about connecting with others, while the same event might trigger anxiety for someone who feels socially insecure or worried about being judged. Social norms, cultural expectations, and personal experiences shape how we approach and respond to these situations, influencing whether we interpret them as sources of excitement or anxiety. The body's response to excitement and anxiety may be nearly identical, but the emotional experience is determined by how we interpret and label the situation. The key difference lies in our perception of control, the context of the event, and our ability to reframe the physiological symptoms. Excitement tends to arise when we feel in control or when the situation is viewed as an opportunity for positive engagement, while anxiety often stems from uncertainty, fear of failure, or lack of control. Both emotions, however, are linked to the body's natural survival mechanisms as they trigger similar physiological responses designed to prepare us for action. The fine line between excitement and anxiety highlights the complexity of human emotions and the ways in which our brains shape our experiences. By understanding how the brain processes fear and excitement, we can better navigate the challenges of modern life and harness the physiological responses to both fear and excitement in a way that enhances performance, improves well-being, and helps us take control of our emotional responses. Whether it's a daunting challenge or a thrilling opportunity, how we perceive the situation can make all the difference in how we experience the rush. The term adrenaline junkie is often used to describe individuals who seem to actively seek out thrilling, fear-inducing activities, whether it's skydiving, rock climbing, bungee jumping, or any number of high-risk, high-reward experiences. For these individuals, the rush of adrenaline is more than just a biological reaction to fear. It becomes an addictive force, something they crave and pursue relentlessly. But what is it about adrenaline that makes some people so drawn to it? Why do certain individuals seek out fear and danger when most of us would do anything to avoid it? To understand why some people become adrenaline junkies, we must explore the underlying psychological and physiological factors that make the rush of adrenaline so appealing. At the most basic level, adrenaline junkies are individuals who have a heightened sensitivity to the physiological effects of adrenaline. For them, the surge of energy, the increased heart rate, the heightened alertness, and the euphoric feeling that often accompanies an adrenaline rush are all intensely pleasurable. While many people experience these sensations as stressful or overwhelming, adrenaline junkies often view them as exciting, invigorating, and even addictive. The sensation of fear that comes with the rush of adrenaline is not perceived as a threat, but as a challenge or opportunity for excitement. This intense reaction to adrenaline is often tied to the brain's reward system. The release of adrenaline is accompanied by the release of dopamine, a neurotransmitter that is associated with pleasure, reward, and motivation. Dopamine is often referred to as the feel-good chemical, because it is responsible for the feelings of pleasure and satisfaction we experience when we engage in rewarding activities. When adrenaline is released, particularly during thrilling or fear-inducing experiences, dopamine levels also rise, creating a pleasurable feeling that reinforces the desire to seek out more of these experiences. This combination of adrenaline and dopamine creates a potent emotional cocktail, making the rush of fear both exhilarating and rewarding. For many adrenaline junkies, the desire to seek out these experiences is driven by the feeling of being alive, of pushing the body to its limits and feeling a sense of invincibility. The rush of adrenaline, in these cases, provides a feeling of empowerment and strength. When the body is flooded with adrenaline, muscles become more responsive and the senses become heightened, allowing individuals to perform at their peak. This feeling of a heightened physical and mental capability can be addictive, as it allows people to experience a sense of mastery over their bodies and environments. Adrenaline junkies thrive on this sensation of control, knowing that they are capable of overcoming fear and performing at extraordinary levels. In addition to the physical and emotional effects, there is a psychological component to the craving for adrenaline. For some individuals, the pursuit of extreme experiences is tied to a need for novelty and stimulation. These individuals may have a personality trait known as sensation seeking, which refers to the tendency to seek out novel, intense, and exciting experiences. Sensation seekers are often drawn to activities that provide a high level of arousal and stimulation, and they may feel bored or unfulfilled by more routine or predictable experiences. Adrenaline-inducing activities such as skydiving, surfing, or extreme sports offer the intense stimulation that sensation seekers crave, providing a constant source of novelty and excitement. The desire to push boundaries and test limits is another psychological factor that contributes to the appeal of adrenaline. For some, extreme activities represent a way to confront their fears head-on, to challenge themselves, and to break free from the confines of everyday life. Adrenaline junkies often report a sense of accomplishment and personal growth after completing a fear-inducing activity. Whether it's conquering a fear of heights or pushing through physical exhaustion during a challenging sport, the experience of overcoming these obstacles provides a sense of satisfaction and achievement that fuels their desire for more. Another key factor in the appeal of adrenaline is the element of control. While fear is typically associated with a loss of control, adrenaline junkies often seek out experiences where they feel a sense of mastery over the situation. They are fully aware of the risk involved, but they thrive on the ability to control their actions in the face of fear. The controlled nature of these extreme activities, whether it's jumping from an airplane or navigating a dangerous mountain trail, gives them a sense of autonomy and control that feels empowering. For many, this control over fear and risk is part of the thrill. It's not about being reckless or out of control. It's about confronting danger in a calculated way and emerging victorious. The sense of community that comes with many extreme activities also plays a role in the appeal of adrenaline. Adrenaline junkies often seek out others who share their passion for thrill-seeking, forming bonds and friendships through shared experiences. This social aspect adds an extra layer of enjoyment to the activity, as adrenaline junkies often feel a sense of camaraderie and connection with others who are equally passionate about pushing their limits. Whether it's participating in an organised race, joining a climbing expedition, or simply enjoying the thrill of an activity with friends, the social connection makes the experience more meaningful and rewarding. While adrenaline junkies are driven by a desire for intense experiences, the constant pursuit of this rush can sometimes have negative consequences. Chronic engagement in high-risk activities can lead to physical injury, psychological stress, and even addiction. The body's natural tolerance to adrenaline may also increase over time, meaning that adrenaline junkies may need to engage in more extreme activities to achieve the same level of excitement and pleasure. This can lead to a dangerous cycle of seeking out ever more intense experiences, with increasing risks and diminishing returns. The pursuit of adrenaline can also be linked to underlying psychological factors such as escapism or emotional regulation. For some, extreme activities provide an outlet for stress, anxiety, or emotional turmoil. The intense focus required during adrenaline-pumping experiences can temporarily distract individuals from everyday worries and provide a sense of relief from the pressures of life. In these cases, the craving for adrenaline may serve as a coping mechanism, a way to regulate emotions and manage stress. However, if this craving becomes habitual or all-consuming, it can have negative effects on mental health, leading to reckless behavior or a constant need for stimulation. Despite the potential risks, the appeal of adrenaline remains strong for many individuals. The combination of heightened physical ability, mental clarity, and the euphoria of overcoming fear creates a powerful motivation to seek out more thrilling experiences. Adrenaline junkies are driven by a deep-seated desire to feel alive, to test their limits, and to experience the world in its most intense and exhilarating form. For these individuals, the rush of adrenaline is not just a biological response to fear, it is a way of life, a source of personal fulfillment, and a never-ending pursuit of excitement. In the end, the adrenaline junkie is not simply someone who craves danger or risk. They are individuals who thrive on the emotional and physiological responses triggered by adrenaline. The rush they seek is not just about the physical thrill, it's about pushing boundaries, overcoming fear, and experiencing life at its fullest. Adrenaline becomes a tool for empowerment, self-discovery, and personal growth. The craving for the rush may be fueled by biology, but it is deeply rooted in the human desire for excitement, novelty, and mastery. Dopamine is a neurotransmitter that plays a central role in the brain's reward system. Often referred to as the feel-good chemical, dopamine is responsible for feelings of pleasure, motivation, and reinforcement. It's released during activities that we find rewarding, such as eating, exercising, or engaging in activities that bring us joy. But dopamine isn't just tied to positive experiences. It also plays a crucial role in how we process fear, excitement, and risk. The connection between dopamine, fear, and reward helps explain why experiences that trigger fear, like extreme sports or thrilling experiences, can be so pleasurable for some people. To understand how dopamine connects fear and reward, we need to explore its role in the brain's response to danger and excitement. When fear is triggered, whether by an actual threat or by something exciting and novel, the body's fight or flight system is activated. Adrenaline is released into the bloodstream, preparing the body for quick action. This physiological response is well known, but what's less obvious is how the brain processes and interprets the experience. In addition to adrenaline, the brain releases dopamine during moments of fear and excitement. Dopamine is involved in the brain's ability to assess potential rewards, and it contributes to the feeling of pleasure that often accompanies thrilling or risk-laden experiences. While dopamine is typically associated with positive rewards, it is also released in response to experiences that are perceived as high-risk, high-reward situations. This is because dopamine is not just tied to pleasure, it is also involved in anticipation and motivation. The brain releases dopamine when it perceives a potential reward, even if that reward is uncertain or risky. When faced with a situation that has both a potential for danger and a potential for excitement or reward, dopamine is released in anticipation of the positive outcome. In this way, dopamine helps to bridge the gap between fear and excitement, turning the experience into something that feels both challenging and rewarding. For example, when a person engages in a thrilling activity like bungee jumping, the body experiences fear due to the perceived risk of the activity. The increased heart rate, rapid breathing, and heightened senses are all physiological responses to this fear. However, as the person moves through the experience, dopamine is released, particularly in anticipation of the moment of release, the moment when they leap off the platform. This release of dopamine helps to transform the fear into excitement, creating a pleasurable, rewarding sensation that lasts long after the activity is over. The brain associates the feeling of fear with the potential for a positive reward, and this makes the experience more enjoyable, reinforcing the desire to seek out similar thrilling experiences in the future. Dopamine's role in the thrill of fear can also be seen in the way people respond to novelty and uncertainty. The brain is wired to seek out new, exciting and stimulating experiences, and it releases dopamine in response to uncertainty or unpredictability. This is why activities like roller coasters, surprise parties, or unexpected challenges can be so thrilling. The brain's anticipation of a new experience triggers a release of dopamine, creating feelings of excitement and pleasure. Even if there's a sense of fear or anxiety before the experience, the potential for a positive outcome is enough to trigger the release of dopamine, making the experience enjoyable and motivating people to seek it out again. This connection between dopamine, fear, and reward is also evident in the realm of extreme sports and risky behaviors. Athletes who engage in high-risk activities such as base jumping, rock climbing, or motorsport racing often experience a surge of dopamine during moments of intense physical challenge. The fear of injury or danger is real, but the anticipation of success, achievement, and the thrill of pushing the body to its limits is a powerful motivator. Dopamine helps turn the fear of risk into a rewarding experience, driving athletes to pursue these activities repeatedly. The cycle of fear, excitement, and reward becomes addictive for some, as the brain constantly seeks out the dopamine rush that accompanies these experiences. Interestingly, dopamine doesn't just reward the outcome of the activity, it also reinforces the anticipation of the activity itself. This is why the thought of a thrilling experience can be just as rewarding as the experience itself. When we anticipate something exciting or fear-inducing, the brain begins to release dopamine in response to the expectation of pleasure. This anticipation is often accompanied by physical sensations of excitement, like butterflies in the stomach, a racing heart, or a sense of eagerness. These sensations are linked to dopamine's role in motivating us to seek out rewarding experiences. Even before we engage in the activity, dopamine primes the brain to enjoy the experience, reinforcing our desire to pursue it. The link between dopamine and the fear-excitement connection also helps to explain why some people are more prone to sensation-seeking behavior than others. People with higher levels of dopamine receptors or greater sensitivity to dopamine may be more likely to seek out high-risk, high-reward activities. For them, the release of dopamine during fear-inducing experiences provides a sense of satisfaction, pleasure, and motivation. This dopamine-driven desire for excitement and novelty can drive individuals to constantly seek out new challenges, pushing the boundaries of what they're willing to do for the sake of the thrill. On the other hand, people with lower sensitivity to dopamine might not find fear-inducing experiences as rewarding. For these individuals, the release of dopamine during fearful situations may not be enough to outweigh the discomfort of the fear response. As a result, they may be less likely to engage in adrenaline-pumping activities and may prefer less stimulating or more predictable experiences. The brain's sensitivity to dopamine plays a significant role in determining how people perceive and react to fear, shaping their response to both potential risks and rewards. The release of dopamine in response to fear and excitement is not without its consequences. While dopamine is involved in rewarding and motivating behavior, it can also contribute to addictive patterns. People who seek out high-risk experiences for the rush of dopamine may become dependent on the thrill of fear and excitement, continually chasing that next high. Over time, this pursuit of dopamine-driven rewards can lead to risky or reckless behavior, as individuals may feel the need to increase the intensity of their experiences to achieve the same level of satisfaction. In addition to its role in thrill-seeking, dopamine also plays a significant role in how we handle stress and emotional challenges. When we face uncertainty or danger, the anticipation of a positive outcome helps us stay motivated and focused, driving us to overcome obstacles. In this way, dopamine not only helps turn fear into excitement, but also shapes our ability to navigate challenges and uncertainties in daily life. The rush of dopamine provides a sense of accomplishment and reward, whether it's completing a challenging task, overcoming a personal fear, or simply taking on something new. Dopamine's connection to fear and reward is central to understanding why fear can feel so thrilling and motivating. While fear is often seen as something to be avoided, dopamine helps to transform the experience into something enjoyable and exhilarating. By associating fear with reward, the brain reinforces the desire to seek out thrilling experiences, creating a cycle of motivation and excitement. Whether in extreme sports, risk-taking behaviors, or simply seeking out new challenges, dopamine plays a crucial role in turning fear into an experience that we actively seek and enjoy. For many people, watching a scary movie is one of the most thrilling experiences. The tension builds, the suspense rises, and even though we know that what's happening on screen isn't real, we find ourselves holding our breath, gripping the armrest, or even jumping at unexpected moments. The question is, why do we willingly put ourselves through the anxiety and fear of a scary movie when we know there's no real threat? The answer lies in the complex interaction between the brain's fear response, the release of adrenaline, and the fact that we're in a controlled environment where the danger is perceived but not actual. In essence, scary movies provide all the physical and emotional thrills of fear, but without any of the real-world consequences. The experience of fear in response to a scary movie is not much different from the fear we might feel in response to a real-life threat. When a character on screen is in danger, our brain processes the information in much the same way it would if we were facing the same danger ourselves. The sensory inputs from the movie, the eerie soundtrack, the dark shadows, the sudden jump scares, trigger the brain's threat detection systems, specifically the amygdala. This region of the brain, which is responsible for processing emotions and detecting threats, reacts by activating the body's fight-or-flight response. The fight-or-flight response is characterized by several physiological changes. The heart rate increases, blood is redirected to the muscles, and adrenaline is released into the bloodstream. These responses prepare the body to face danger, even though the danger is purely fictional. The body is responding as though the threat is real, but because the brain recognizes that the danger is not actually present, the response is more about the anticipation and the emotional intensity of fear than about immediate physical survival. One of the key elements in this experience is the controlled environment in which we watch scary movies. Unlike real-life threats, where danger can result in injury or harm, the threat in a scary movie is always temporary and without consequence. The brain knows that once the movie ends, the danger is gone and we're safe. This sense of safety is crucial in transforming fear into enjoyment. Because we are in control of the situation, able to pause the movie, turn it off, or leave the theatre if necessary, we can experience the fear without the typical dangers associated with real threats. This feeling of safety is what allows the brain to release adrenaline, the hormone that triggers the fight or flight response without the negative aftermath. Adrenaline creates a sense of heightened awareness and physical readiness, and when paired with the knowledge that no real harm will come to us, it becomes an exciting rush. It's like riding a roller coaster. The fear is real in the moment, but because we trust that we are secure, the experience becomes thrilling rather than terrifying. The release of adrenaline combined with the pleasurable sensation of fear is part of what makes scary movies so enjoyable. In addition to adrenaline, watching scary movies also triggers the release of dopamine. Dopamine is the brain's reward neurotransmitter, often associated with pleasure and reinforcement. The anticipation of a scary moment, followed by the relief when it passes, creates a cycle of emotional highs and lows. The brain processes this as a rewarding experience, even though we are essentially experiencing fear. The contrast between the physiological response to fear and the knowledge that we are safe creates a paradoxical sense of pleasure. It's the thrill of danger, but without the real-world risk. This combination of fear and reward is what makes scary movies so addictive for some people. The enjoyment of scary movies is also tied to the concept of safe fear. In real life, fear is often accompanied by stress, anxiety, and a desire to escape from the threat. But in the safe environment of a movie theatre or at home, fear is experienced in a controlled way that is less about survival and more about emotional stimulation. For many, the experience of fear is enjoyable because it pushes boundaries, taps into primal emotions, and creates a rush of physical sensations without any of the real-life consequences. In this way, scary movies allow us to confront and explore fear in a way that feels safe, exciting, and fun. There is also a social aspect to watching scary movies that enhances the experience. Many people enjoy watching horror films with others, whether it's friends, family, or even strangers. The shared experience of fear, screaming, jumping, or laughing together, creates a sense of camaraderie and connection. Socially, fear can strengthen bonds between people, as it is often an emotional experience that is better when shared. The collective response to a scary moment, combined with the social support of others, enhances the pleasure of the experience, making it not just thrilling, but also rewarding. Moreover, for some people, watching a scary movie can be a form of emotional regulation. For those who enjoy the thrill of fear, the experience can serve as a way to face and manage their anxieties in a controlled setting. Fear in a movie is not the same as real-world fear, and for some viewers, the process of confronting fear through fiction can help them deal with their own anxieties in a less threatening way. The experience can be cathartic, providing an emotional release without the negative consequences of real-life fear. The experience of fear in a scary movie is also a form of controlled exposure. Just as some people engage in activities like skydiving or bungee jumping to confront and overcome their fears, watching horror films allows people to face their fears in a more manageable, non-threatening environment. For some, it's an opportunity to confront personal fears, such as fear of the dark, fear of the unknown, or fear of mortality, without actually experiencing any real danger. This form of controlled exposure can help desensitize people to certain fears, making them feel more empowered and in control. Despite all the thrill and enjoyment, scary movies are not for everyone. Some people are more sensitive to fear and may find the experience overwhelming rather than enjoyable. For them, the physical responses to fear, like increased heart rate and heightened alertness, may trigger anxiety rather than excitement. This is a reminder that the way we respond to fear is highly individual, and what is thrilling for one person may be stressful or unpleasant for another. The pleasure of watching scary movies lies in the brain's ability to process fear in a controlled way. By triggering the body's fight or flight response without the actual threat of danger, scary movies provide a safe, thrilling experience that is both enjoyable and rewarding. The adrenaline rush, the release of dopamine, and the sense of social connection all contribute to the fun and excitement of the experience. While fear in the real world is something to be avoided, the fear we experience in a movie theatre is something we actively seek out. Because, in the world of horror films, we can face danger without the risk of harm. Adrenaline is often associated with moments of fear, danger, or excitement, but one of the most common and rewarding contexts in which adrenaline is released is exercise. Whether it's sprinting, lifting heavy weights, or pushing through the final stretch of a long run, the physiological and psychological effects of exercise can trigger a rush of adrenaline that provides not only the energy to perform, but also a deep sense of satisfaction and achievement. Understanding the connection between adrenaline and exercise helps explain why physical challenges can be so rewarding, both in terms of the immediate physical benefits and the lasting emotional boost that comes from pushing your body to its limits. When we engage in physical activity, especially strenuous or high-intensity exercise, the body's natural stress response is activated. This happens for several reasons. First, exercise places physical demands on the body, requiring more oxygen and energy to fuel muscles and sustain movement. The heart rate increases, the muscles become more engaged, and the body releases adrenaline to ensure that it can meet these demands. Adrenaline helps to facilitate the delivery of oxygen and glucose to muscles, providing them with the energy they need to perform. It also increases alertness, improves focus, and prepares the body to engage in intense activity. One of the key ways that adrenaline enhances physical performance is by preparing the body for rapid, explosive movement. When adrenaline is released, it stimulates the heart to pump faster and more forcefully, which increases blood flow to the muscles and the brain. This enables the body to perform at a higher level of efficiency, allowing muscles to contract with greater force and endurance. At the same time, adrenaline causes the airways in the lungs to dilate, allowing for greater oxygen intake. This combination of increased heart rate, oxygen delivery, and muscle activation provides a significant boost to physical performance, helping athletes and exercisers push themselves harder and longer. Adrenaline also plays a key role in the way the body responds to fatigue. During intense exercise, the body begins to experience a buildup of metabolic byproducts, such as lactic acid, which can lead to a feeling of muscle fatigue and discomfort. Adrenaline helps to counteract this fatigue by stimulating the release of energy stores in the body, such as glucose and fatty acids. This surge of energy helps delay the onset of fatigue, allowing individuals to keep going even when their muscles are tired. The release of adrenaline during exercise, particularly in response to high-intensity efforts, helps sustain energy levels and enhances performance. In addition to its physical effects, adrenaline also has a powerful psychological impact. As exercise becomes more intense, the brain releases adrenaline in anticipation of the challenge. This rush of adrenaline creates a sense of focus, clarity, and motivation, helping individuals stay engaged and mentally sharp during their workout. This is why many athletes report experiencing a sense of flow during intense exercise, a state of complete immersion in the activity where time seems to disappear and the body operates at peak performance. The mental clarity and heightened focus brought on by adrenaline allow athletes to tune out distractions and push through the discomfort that often accompanies strenuous physical activity. The psychological boost provided by adrenaline is also tied to the sense of achievement and satisfaction that comes from completing a physical challenge. When we push ourselves to our limits, whether it's lifting heavier weights, running faster, or completing a challenging circuit, we experience a sense of accomplishment and pride. The release of adrenaline helps to reinforce this feeling of success, amplifying the positive emotions associated with overcoming obstacles. This is why many people find exercise, particularly intense exercise, to be so rewarding. The combination of physical exertion, adrenaline, and achievement creates a powerful emotional response that motivates people to continue exercising and seek out new challenges. Adrenaline also contributes to the runner's high that many athletes experience during or after exercise. This phenomenon is characterized by feelings of euphoria, reduced stress, and a sense of well-being, and it occurs as a result of the release of endorphins, dopamine, and adrenaline. The release of adrenaline during exercise not only provides the energy needed to complete the workout, but also contributes to the pleasurable sensations that follow. The runner's high is a perfect example of how adrenaline can enhance the emotional and psychological rewards of exercise, creating a sense of satisfaction that extends beyond the physical exertion itself. The connection between adrenaline and exercise is also linked to the concept of stress adaptation. When we challenge ourselves physically, we're essentially placing the body under controlled stress. This can be a physical stressor, like lifting heavy weights, or a cardiovascular stressor, like running long distances. Over time, the body becomes more adapted to these stressors, improving strength, endurance, and cardiovascular health. This adaptation is not only physical, but also psychological. As we continue to push through physical challenges, the body becomes more efficient at managing the release of adrenaline, reducing the negative impact of stress while enhancing the positive effects. This is why regular exercise can make us feel more resilient to stress in general, as the body becomes better at responding to both physical and mental challenges. For many people, the desire to experience the rush of adrenaline during exercise becomes a key motivator for continuing their fitness routines. Whether it's the thrill of running a fast 5K, the excitement of a challenging cycling race, or the satisfaction of reaching a new personal best in weightlifting, the release of adrenaline during physical activity can make exercise feel exhilarating rather than exhausting. This sense of excitement, combined with the physical and emotional rewards of exercise, creates a powerful incentive to keep pushing forward, setting new goals and seeking out new challenges. While the rush of adrenaline is a natural part of intense physical activity, it's important to note that not all exercise induces this response. Low-intensity activities such as walking, yoga, or stretching tend to have less of an adrenaline-driven effect, focusing more on relaxation and gentle movement. However, for those who crave the rush, high-intensity interval training, HIIT, sprinting, weightlifting, and endurance sports are often where adrenaline is most prominently experienced. These activities place the body under greater stress, triggering the release of adrenaline and creating the physical and psychological responses that make exercise feel so rewarding. Adrenaline and exercise are intrinsically linked, as the hormone plays a vital role in preparing the body for physical challenges, whether we're lifting weights, running a marathon, or pushing through an intense circuit. Adrenaline provides the energy, focus, and motivation needed to perform at our best. The combination of physical exertion, the rush of adrenaline, and the sense of achievement creates a powerful emotional response that makes exercise not only a physical challenge, but also a deeply satisfying and rewarding experience. As we push our bodies to their limits, adrenaline becomes a key player in turning effort into accomplishment, making physical challenge an exhilarating pursuit. In the world of sports, athletes often find themselves performing under extreme pressure, whether it's the final seconds of a close game, the high-stakes competition in front of an audience, or the mental and physical demands of a challenging race. Fear, Anxiety and anticipation of the outcome can trigger the release of adrenaline, and in the right circumstances, this surge of energy can significantly enhance performance. Understanding how adrenaline works in sports reveals a fascinating connection between fear and physical capability, showing how the body's natural stress response can help athletes push their limits and perform at their best, even when the odds are against them. When an athlete faces a high-pressure situation, whether it's a critical moment in a game or an intense competition, fear is a natural response. This fear can stem from a variety of factors: fear of failure, fear of letting down teammates, fear of injury, or the fear of not meeting one's personal goals. However, fear is not inherently negative. In fact, the physiological changes triggered by fear, including the release of adrenaline, can be an asset. The body's response to fear is designed to heighten awareness, increase strength, and improve reaction time, all of which are crucial for performance in sports. The process starts when the brain perceives a threat or a challenge. The amygdala, a region of the brain responsible for processing emotions, detects this fear and signals the hypothalamus, which regulates the body's stress response. The hypothalamus activates the sympathetic nervous system, leading to the release of adrenaline, also known as epinephrine, from the adrenal glands. This surge of adrenaline triggers a variety of physiological changes in the body, all of which prepare it to face the challenge ahead. One of the first changes that occurs is an increase in heart rate. This is essential for athletes, as the heart needs to pump more oxygenated blood to the muscles and brain to fuel performance. The increased heart rate ensures that the body is primed for quick action, whether it's sprinting, jumping, or performing a precise movement. Along with the heart rate increase, adrenaline also causes the blood vessels to constrict in areas where blood flow is less essential, such as the digestive system, and dilates blood vessels in muscles, the heart, and the brain, ensuring that these vital areas receive maximum oxygen and nutrients. The respiratory system is also activated by adrenaline. The airways in the lungs expand, allowing for greater oxygen intake and improving the efficiency of breathing. This is especially important for endurance athletes, who rely on a consistent supply of oxygen to maintain their performance over time. For athletes engaged in high-intensity or explosive sports such as sprinting, swimming, or weightlifting, the increased oxygen availability allows for more powerful and sustained exertion. In addition to these physical changes, adrenaline increases the body's sensitivity to external stimuli. This heightened awareness is known as hypervigilance, and it sharpens an athlete's ability to react quickly to environmental cues. For example, a basketball player may be able to notice a teammate's subtle movement or the position of an opponent more quickly during a critical moment in the game. This improved sensory processing allows athletes to make faster decisions and execute actions with greater precision, enhancing overall performance. One of the most significant ways adrenaline impacts sports performance is through its effects on muscle strength and endurance. Adrenaline activates the muscles, preparing them for quick and explosive action. The hormone increases the efficiency of energy production within the muscles, allowing for stronger contractions and better performance in high-intensity activities. This is why athletes often report feeling stronger or more capable in moments of intense competition, even when they are fatigued. The flood of adrenaline gives them the strength and energy to push through discomfort, break personal records, or outlast competitors. In sports that involve fine motor control or precision, such as tennis, golf, or gymnastics, adrenaline also enhances focus and coordination. While intense adrenaline can sometimes make athletes feel jittery or shaky, in the right context, it can improve concentration and fine-tuned control. The heightened state of awareness can help athletes anticipate the next move, adjust their body position, and execute intricate movements more accurately. This is especially valuable in high-stakes moments, when a single, precise movement can make the difference between success and failure. However, while adrenaline can enhance performance, it's important to note that too much adrenaline can have negative effects. When an athlete becomes overwhelmed by fear or stress, the flood of adrenaline can lead to physical and mental overstimulation. This can result in feelings of anxiety, loss of control, or even physical tremors. In these cases, the heightened state of arousal may lead to a decrease in performance rather than an increase. Athletes who are able to harness and control the effects of adrenaline, staying calm and focused during high-stress situations, are often the ones who excel. The balance between fear and performance enhancement is critical in sports. Athletes who can channel the adrenaline rush into a focused, controlled response often experience what's known as the zone, or flow state. This is a mental state where athletes are fully immersed in the activity, performing at their peak without being consciously aware of the effort. In the zone, athletes are not hindered by fear or distractions, and the adrenaline surge allows them to operate at their highest level of ability. For example, in a high-pressure game, a football player may experience a surge of fear as the clock ticks down to the final seconds, and the outcome of the game depends on a single play. However, if the player is able to channel that fear into focused energy, adrenaline can enhance their performance, enabling them to move faster, react quicker, and make the decisive play that wins the game. Similarly, a swimmer in the final stretch of a race may feel a rush of fear and pressure, but adrenaline allows them to push through the fatigue and break through the water at a faster speed. The ability to turn fear into a performance-enhancing tool is a skill that many athletes develop over time. It requires mental conditioning, experience, and a strong understanding of how the body and mind respond to stress. Some athletes use visualization techniques, breathing exercises, or mental rehearsals to calm the nerves and focus the mind, helping them to harness the energy from adrenaline without becoming overwhelmed by it. The relationship between adrenaline and performance is one of the key factors that separates elite athletes from those who are less experienced or less mentally prepared. While anyone can experience the rush of adrenaline during sports, the ability to control and direct that energy toward improving performance is what sets top athletes apart. By understanding how adrenaline works and how it affects both the body and the mind, athletes can better utilize the power of fear to fuel their performance and achieve their best results. In conclusion, adrenaline is not just a byproduct of fear or stress. It's a crucial physiological response that can elevate performance in sports. The body's natural response to fear, triggered by the release of adrenaline, prepares athletes to react quickly, perform at peak levels, and overcome physical and mental obstacles. In the right context, fear and adrenaline work together to create an optimal state for performance, allowing athletes to push past their limits and achieve extraordinary feats. While fear can be overwhelming at times, it also holds the potential to enhance athletic performance when channeled correctly, making adrenaline a powerful ally in the pursuit of success in sports. For some, the thrill of an extreme experience is the ultimate adrenaline rush. Activities like skydiving, bungee jumping, and other high-risk adventures offer the chance to face intense fear, while also providing a profound sense of exhilaration and accomplishment. These extreme sports take fear to its limits, pushing individuals to confront their deepest anxieties in a controlled environment, where the only real danger is the anticipation itself. But what makes these activities so appealing, and why do some people crave the feeling of jumping out of an airplane or leaping off a bridge tethered only by a cord? To understand the appeal of extreme experiences, we need to explore the powerful mix of fear, adrenaline, and personal triumph that makes these activities so captivating. At the heart of extreme sports like skydiving and bungee jumping is the element of fear. These activities are designed to induce a sense of danger, often pushing individuals to face the fear of height, speed, and loss of control. Jumping out of an airplane at thousands of feet in the air or plunging from a bridge with nothing but a bungee cord to catch you are both acts that trigger a flood of physiological responses: increased heart rate, rapid breathing, and a rush of adrenaline. This is the fight-or-flight response at its peak. Your body is primed for survival, but your mind is aware that the danger is minimal. It's the perfect blend of fear and excitement. When fear is triggered, adrenaline is released into the bloodstream, initiating a cascade of physiological changes. The heart rate increases, blood pressure rises, and blood flow is redirected to essential areas like the muscles, heart, and brain. The respiratory system kicks into overdrive, bringing in more oxygen to fuel the body's response. These physical changes are meant to prepare the body for action, ensuring that it has the energy, strength, and awareness needed to react quickly in a dangerous situation. In the context of extreme sports, however, the danger is controlled, which means the physiological response is more about the thrill of fear than the need for survival. The adrenaline rush that comes with these activities has a profound psychological effect. The initial fear of jumping, of taking that first step off the plane or the edge of a bridge, can be overwhelming. But as soon as the body's physiological response is triggered, there's an immediate sense of heightened awareness and clarity. This is why people often describe extreme experiences as feeling alive or in the moment. The body is fully engaged, and the mind is laser-focused on the task at hand. The fear is intense, but it's also exhilarating. The person becomes hyper-aware of every sensation. The wind rushing past during freefall, the tension in the muscles as they prepare to land, the surge of energy as they approach the end of the jump. In that moment, nothing else exists. The fear that once seemed overwhelming becomes part of the thrill, a challenge to be overcome. The release of adrenaline during extreme sports also triggers the release of other neurotransmitters, like dopamine and endorphins, which are associated with pleasure, reward, and euphoria. Dopamine is often referred to as the feel-good neurotransmitter because it is responsible for the feelings of pleasure and satisfaction that come from achieving something rewarding. In extreme experiences, dopamine is released as a reward for facing fear head-on and pushing through the discomfort. This release of dopamine amplifies the enjoyment of the activity, creating a sense of satisfaction that is often described as addictive. The combination of adrenaline and dopamine creates a powerful emotional experience that many people crave, leading them to seek out more extreme activities in the future. For some, the rush of extreme sports goes beyond just the physical thrill. It's also about the mental challenge. In many cases, the fear of jumping out of an airplane or leaping off a bridge is not just about the physical danger, but the mental struggle of overcoming self-doubt, anxiety, or hesitation. The moment of decision, the moment when a person chooses to jump, is a powerful one, representing the ability to face fear and overcome it. This sense of personal triumph is a significant part of what makes extreme experiences so rewarding. Confronting and conquering fear in a controlled environment provides a profound sense of accomplishment, boosting self-confidence and reinforcing the desire to seek out more challenges. The appeal of extreme sports is also linked to the concept of controlled risk. In everyday life, fear is often something to avoid, whether it's fear of failure, rejection, or physical harm. But in extreme sports, the fear is embraced and even sought out. The key difference is that the risk is understood to be manageable. With skydiving, bungee jumping, or other extreme experiences, the risk of injury or death is minimal because the activity is highly regulated, with strict safety protocols and equipment designed to ensure safety. The knowledge that the risk is controlled allows people to fully engage in the experience and enjoy the rush of fear without the anxiety of real danger. It's the thrill of danger, but within a safe and predictable environment. While the rush of extreme experiences is often associated with risk, the psychological benefits of these activities are not solely about fear. For many, the sense of accomplishment after completing a high-risk activity can be even more rewarding than the physical sensations experienced during the activity itself. Overcoming the fear of jumping from a plane or plunging into the unknown can create lasting feelings of pride, empowerment, and personal growth. These activities challenge people to push beyond their comfort zones, face their fears, and test their limits in ways that many other experiences cannot. The sense of empowerment that comes from completing an extreme challenge can translate into greater confidence and a sense of resilience in other areas of life. Additionally, extreme experiences often involve a sense of camaraderie and social connection. Many extreme sports are done in groups or with instructors, and the shared experience of facing fear together can create bonds between participants. Whether it's the support of a team during a competitive challenge or the shared excitement of completing a thrilling jump with friends, these social connections enhance the enjoyment of the experience. The feeling of accomplishment is not just individual, it's communal, and it often reinforces the desire to keep seeking out these intense experiences with others. However, it's important to acknowledge that extreme sports are not for everyone. The intense fear and physiological responses associated with these activities can be overwhelming for some individuals. People who are more prone to anxiety, fear, or stress may find the experience of extreme sports more unpleasant than exhilarating. For others, the appeal of extreme experiences may lie in the thrill of the challenge, but not in the fear itself. It's a deeply personal experience shaped by individual tolerance for risk, sensation, and physical exertion. For those who crave the rush, though, extreme sports offer a unique opportunity to experience fear in its purest form, while also reaping the rewards of adrenaline, accomplishment, and personal growth. Whether it's the heart-pounding freefall of skydiving, the nerve-wracking plunge of bungee jumping, or the challenge of scaling a cliff face, extreme activities provide a potent mix of fear, excitement, and personal triumph. The rush of adrenaline and the satisfaction of conquering fear make these experiences incredibly compelling, driving people to seek out even more extreme challenges in the future. In the end, extreme experiences tap into something deeply human, the desire to test our limits, to face our fears, and to experience life at its fullest. The fear we feel is real, but it's also part of what makes the experience so rewarding. By embracing the rush, we gain not just physical thrill, but emotional and psychological rewards that stay with us long after the experience is over. It's the ultimate way to turn fear into excitement, danger into adventure, and challenge into triumph. In the modern world, we're not often confronted by physical dangers like predators or life-threatening situations. Yet, despite the fact that many of the threats our ancestors faced have disappeared, the body's fight-or-flight response and the release of adrenaline are still very much a part of our everyday lives. In fact, adrenaline continues to play a crucial role in how we navigate the stresses, challenges, and demands of contemporary existence. While the modern world may not pose the same kinds of risks as it once did, the ways in which we experience fear, stress, and excitement have evolved, and adrenaline is just as present in our lives as ever, though in new forms. In ancient times, adrenaline was a vital survival mechanism, allowing our ancestors to react quickly to threats from predators, natural disasters, or physical dangers. The body's response was simple: fight, flee, or freeze. Today, however, the physical and psychological triggers for the release of adrenaline have shifted. Instead of being prompted by direct, immediate threats, the body now releases adrenaline in response to stresses that are less about survival and more about modern-day challenges. The pressures of work, social interactions, financial concerns, and even the excitement of everyday life can trigger the same physiological responses that were once reserved for danger. One of the most common ways adrenaline manifests in modern life is through stress. Stressful situations, whether it's a looming deadline, an important presentation, or a challenging conversation, can activate the body's stress response, triggering the release of adrenaline. This adrenaline rush prepares the body for action, making us more alert, focused, and ready to deal with the challenge at hand. In some cases, this response can be helpful, providing the energy and motivation needed to meet a deadline, navigate a difficult conversation, or perform well in a high-pressure situation. The increase in heart rate, heightened awareness, and surge of energy can make us feel more capable and prepared to handle the stress. However, while adrenaline can be helpful in short bursts, chronic stress can lead to problems. In today's fast-paced, high-demand world, people often experience sustained levels of stress, whether it's from work, relationships, or personal challenges. When the body is constantly in a heightened state of stress, with adrenaline continually being released, it can have negative long-term effects on physical and mental health. Chronic exposure to adrenaline can contribute to high blood pressure, heart disease, digestive issues, and a weakened immune system. It can also lead to anxiety, burnout, and difficulty concentrating, as the body remains in a constant state of readiness, even when there is no immediate threat. In addition to stress, adrenaline is often triggered by moments of excitement or anticipation. The excitement of a first date, a job interview, or an upcoming event can cause a surge of adrenaline. In these situations, the body responds similarly to how it would in the face of fear, but the emotional context is different. Instead of being driven by a desire to escape or confront danger, the adrenaline rush is tied to the anticipation of a positive outcome. The heart races, the senses sharpen, and energy levels rise in preparation for the event. This response helps us stay focused, alert, and ready to engage with the exciting experience ahead. In today's world, the thrill of physical challenges is also a major source of adrenaline. Many modern activities, from running marathons to participating in extreme sports like rock climbing, biking, and surfing, are designed to stimulate the body's fight-or-flight response. These activities, which often involve pushing the body to its physical limits, lead to an adrenaline rush that not only enhances performance, but also provides a sense of satisfaction and achievement. The rush of adrenaline during these activities helps people feel more alive, connected to their physicality, and capable of conquering challenges. Even though the risks are often minimal, thanks to proper safety equipment and regulations, the body still reacts as though it's facing a dangerous situation, producing the same physiological effects as if the threat were real. In addition to physical activity, modern entertainment, particularly action-packed movies, video games, and amusement parks, can trigger adrenaline responses. For many people, watching an action movie, playing a competitive video game, or riding a roller coaster induces a fear-like response, followed by excitement and euphoria. These experiences, while not involving actual danger, simulate fear, creating the same physiological effects. The anticipation of a jump scare in a horror film, the thrill of a close race in a video game, or the excitement of a roller coaster ride all trigger the release of adrenaline, even though the risks are minimal. These adrenaline-inducing activities offer people a safe way to experience fear, excitement, and reward. The experience of adrenaline also plays a role in modern social interactions. Public speaking, socializing in large groups, or performing in front of others can trigger the release of adrenaline as the body prepares for potential social threats. While these situations are not physically dangerous, the fear of judgment, rejection, or failure can activate the same fight-or-flight response. In these moments, the body becomes alert and energized, helping us navigate the social situation with greater focus and presence. For some people, the adrenaline rush that comes with social interaction or performance is enjoyable and can lead to increased confidence and a sense of achievement. Interestingly, the relationship between adrenaline and modern life is also evident in the growing popularity of adrenaline vacations and extreme tourism. Many people today seek out travel experiences that allow them to experience the same rush of adrenaline they might get from participating in extreme sports or high-stakes adventures. Whether it's skydiving over a scenic landscape, bungee jumping off a cliff, or ziplining through the jungle, these activities give people the opportunity to push their boundaries, confront their fears, and experience intense excitement in a controlled environment. For some, this type of travel has become an essential part of modern life, offering a way to disconnect from the stresses of everyday life and embrace the rush of fear and reward. Ultimately, adrenaline plays a central role in how we experience modern life. While we may no longer face the same immediate threats that our ancestors did, the physiological and psychological effects of adrenaline are still just as present today. Whether triggered by stress, excitement, physical activity, or social challenges, the body's response to fear and anticipation shapes our daily experiences. In today's world, adrenaline helps us meet the demands of work, face personal challenges, engage in thrilling activities, and navigate the complexities of social life. The rush of adrenaline can be both a tool for success and a source of pleasure, pushing us to perform at our best while also making us feel more alive and engaged in the world around us. Adrenaline is often perceived as a force beyond our control, a response to stress, fear, or excitement that surges through the body in an instant. While it can be a powerful motivator and performance enhancer, its effects can also feel overwhelming, especially if the body is repeatedly flooded with the hormone in high-stress situations. For many people, adrenaline is something that arrives without warning, causing physical symptoms like a racing heart, shallow breathing, and a heightened sense of awareness. However, with the right strategies and mindset, adrenaline can be harnessed in a way that benefits both physical and mental performance, helping us achieve our goals without being controlled by the rush. The first step in learning how to harness adrenaline is understanding how it works. When the body senses a threat or challenge, the amygdala in the brain sends a signal to the hypothalamus, which activates the fight or flight response. This results in the release of adrenaline, which prepares the body to take action by increasing heart rate, redirecting blood flow to the muscles, and heightening alertness. These physical changes are designed to help us react quickly to danger. In modern life, however, we often experience these effects in response to stress, competition, or even excitement, rather than immediate threats. This means that the challenge isn't just about managing the physical effects of adrenaline, but also managing the emotional response that accompanies it. One effective strategy for managing adrenaline is to change how we perceive the situations that trigger the hormone. The way we interpret stress and fear can influence how we experience the adrenaline rush. For example, when facing a high-pressure situation, such as a job interview, public speaking, or a competitive sports event, many people experience anxiety because they view the situation as threatening. This mindset can cause the body to respond with an overwhelming flood of adrenaline, which can impair focus, cause shaky hands, and increase feelings of stress. However, with practice, we can learn to reframe these situations as opportunities for growth and achievement. Shifting our perspective from one of threat to one of challenge can help transform anxiety into excitement. Rather than viewing the situation as something to avoid or fear, we can see it as an opportunity to perform at our best, to rise to the occasion, and to prove to ourselves that we can handle the stress. This shift in mindset can help us feel more in control, reducing the negative physical effects of adrenaline and increasing our ability to use it to enhance our performance. Another important aspect of managing adrenaline is developing self-awareness and learning to recognize the signs of an adrenaline surge. Being able to identify when the body is beginning to release adrenaline can help us take steps to manage its effects before they become overwhelming. For instance, when we notice the early signs of an adrenaline rush, such as a racing heart, shallow breathing, or muscle tension, we can take proactive steps to calm the body and mind. Breathing exercises are particularly effective in these situations, as they can help to regulate the body's response and bring the heart rate back to normal. Deep, slow breaths activate the parasympathetic nervous system, which counteracts the fight or flight response and promotes relaxation. In addition to deep breathing, mindfulness practices can help manage the physical and emotional effects of adrenaline. Mindfulness involves focusing on the present moment without judgment, allowing us to acknowledge and accept the physical sensations of fear or excitement without letting them control our reactions. By practicing mindfulness regularly, we can improve our ability to stay calm under pressure, reduce anxiety, and use the energy generated by adrenaline to stay focused and perform effectively. Physical techniques like progressive muscle relaxation can also be useful in managing adrenaline. Progressive muscle relaxation involves tensing and then relaxing different muscle groups in the body, helping to release built-up tension. This technique not only helps to reduce the physical symptoms of adrenaline, but also provides a way to regain control over the body when it feels overwhelmed by the rush. By actively working to relax the muscles that are tense from the adrenaline surge, we can counterbalance the fight or flight response and calm the nervous system. For athletes and individuals engaging in physical challenges, learning to manage the rush of adrenaline can improve performance and prevent burnout. Extreme physical activities, whether it's running a marathon, competing in a sport, or lifting heavy weights, can trigger significant releases of adrenaline. While this boost of energy can enhance performance, it can also lead to exhaustion or anxiety if not properly managed. Athletes who can stay focused and in control of their adrenaline levels are often able to perform at their peak for longer periods, making the most of the energy boost without succumbing to its negative effects. Visualization techniques can help athletes harness adrenaline by mentally rehearsing their movements and focusing on positive outcomes, which helps to calm the nervous system and improve physical performance. Another way to harness the power of adrenaline is through positive self-talk and goal setting. Adrenaline often triggers a heightened sense of focus, and this can be a great asset if we direct that energy toward our goals. In stressful or high-pressure situations, it's easy to become consumed by self-doubt or fear of failure, but reframing these thoughts can help us stay motivated and confident. Positive affirmations such as "I am prepared for this," or "I am capable of handling this challenge," can help shift the focus from fear to self-assurance, allowing the adrenaline to fuel performance rather than hinder it. While adrenaline is often thought of as something to manage or reduce, it's important to recognize that, in the right circumstances, adrenaline can be a valuable resource. It helps us stay focused, energized, and alert, and it can be the driving force behind successful performance. The key is to learn how to manage it effectively, using techniques like mindset shifts, breathing exercises, mindfulness, and goal setting to channel adrenaline in a way that maximizes its benefits. By taking control of our body's natural response to stress and excitement, we can use adrenaline to enhance our performance in both everyday situations and more extreme challenges. Finally, it's important to acknowledge that adrenaline can have different effects on different people. Some people may thrive under pressure, using the rush to perform at their best, while others may find it overwhelming. Understanding your own body's response to adrenaline and finding strategies that work for you is key to managing its effects. It's also important to recognize when adrenaline is being released as part of a chronic stress response, which may require different management strategies such as relaxation techniques, lifestyle changes, or professional support. In conclusion, adrenaline is a powerful force that can elevate our performance, motivate us to take action, and help us rise to the occasion when faced with challenges. By understanding how adrenaline works and learning to manage its effects, we can turn this natural response into a tool for success. Whether it's using adrenaline to perform under pressure, focus during exercise, or overcome anxiety, the key is to harness its energy in a way that benefits both our body and mind. With the right techniques, we can make adrenaline work for us rather than against us, using it to achieve our goals and enhance our performance. Adrenaline is often thought of as a positive force, fueling our bodies to react swiftly and efficiently in response to fear or excitement. It helps us perform under pressure, enhances physical performance, and gives us the energy needed to tackle challenges. But while adrenaline is crucial for survival and can provide motivation and clarity, it can also have a darker side. In some situations, the body's natural fight or flight response, fueled by adrenaline, can spiral into anxiety, stress, and even panic. When adrenaline is released in excess or triggered by chronic stress, it can lead to feelings of overwhelming anxiety and a sense of being out of control. Understanding when adrenaline shifts from a performance-enhancing force to a source of anxiety is key to managing its effects in a healthy way. Adrenaline is released by the adrenal glands in response to stress, fear, or excitement. The hormone activates the body's fight or flight response, preparing the body to confront danger or escape a threat. In these moments, adrenaline increases heart rate, accelerates breathing, and heightens sensory awareness, physiological changes that are designed to help us respond quickly to immediate threats. In life-threatening situations, this surge of energy is invaluable, enabling the body to react without hesitation. However, when adrenaline is released in situations that are not life-threatening, or when it is triggered by constant stress, it can become overwhelming, leading to heightened anxiety instead of focused action. One of the key factors that transforms adrenaline from a positive response into an anxiety-inducing experience is the perception of danger. In modern life, we often face situations where the body's stress response is triggered, even though the situation does not pose a real, immediate threat. Work pressure, social anxiety, financial worries, or even the anticipation of an event can all cause the body to release adrenaline. However, in these situations, the brain doesn't always differentiate between a real physical threat and a psychological stressor. As a result, the body reacts as though it is under physical threat, even when there is no real danger. This can lead to the physical symptoms of anxiety, such as a racing heart, shallow breathing, muscle tension, and dizziness. When adrenaline is repeatedly released in response to stress or anxiety, it can create a cycle that is difficult to break. The physical symptoms of anxiety, such as an increased heart rate, tightness in the chest, and rapid breathing, can mimic the body's natural fight or flight response. These sensations can be interpreted by the brain as a sign that something is wrong, which can trigger further anxiety. This creates a feedback loop, where the body's stress response causes anxiety, which in turn triggers more adrenaline, leading to an even greater sense of unease. Over time, this cycle of stress and adrenaline can contribute to chronic anxiety, making it difficult to manage everyday challenges without feeling overwhelmed. One of the hallmarks of anxiety is a constant sense of heightened alertness. The body remains in a state of readiness, even when there is no immediate danger. This heightened state of arousal is a result of adrenaline's effects on the brain, which heightens sensory awareness and makes us more alert to potential threats. While this is helpful in situations where danger is imminent, it becomes problematic when the body remains in this state of heightened sensitivity despite the absence of real danger. People with anxiety disorders often feel on edge, unable to relax, and constantly anticipating something going wrong, even in safe situations. This constant state of heightened alertness can make it difficult to concentrate, sleep, or enjoy everyday activities. In some cases, the release of adrenaline can trigger panic attacks. A panic attack is a sudden and intense episode of fear that often feels uncontrollable. During a panic attack, the body's stress response is activated, causing rapid breathing, a racing heart, dizziness, and feelings of impending doom. This reaction is a result of an overwhelming release of adrenaline, which can make individuals feel as though they are losing control of their own body. Panic attacks can be frightening and debilitating, and the fear of experiencing another attack can create a vicious cycle of anxiety. People who experience frequent panic attacks may begin to avoid situations that they associate with the onset of adrenaline, leading to further isolation and anxiety. The physical effects of adrenaline can also contribute to other symptoms of anxiety, such as muscle tension, headaches, and gastrointestinal issues. Adrenaline causes muscles to contract and prepares the body for action. But in the absence of physical exertion, this muscle tension can lead to discomfort and pain. Tension headaches, back pain, and digestive problems like irritable bowel syndrome, IBS, are common physical manifestations of anxiety that are directly related to the effects of adrenaline. These symptoms can exacerbate feelings of anxiety, creating a cycle of physical discomfort and emotional distress. The constant release of adrenaline due to anxiety can also have long-term health consequences. Over time, the chronic activation of the fight-or-flight response can contribute to health problems such as high blood pressure, heart disease, and weakened immune function. The body's prolonged exposure to high levels of adrenaline can put a strain on the cardiovascular system, leading to an increased risk of heart-related issues. Additionally, the long-term effects of stress and adrenaline can weaken the immune system, making it harder for the body to fight off infections and illnesses. Managing the negative effects of adrenaline and anxiety involves learning how to regulate the body's stress response. One of the most effective ways to manage adrenaline-induced anxiety is through relaxation techniques. Deep breathing exercises are particularly useful in slowing down the heart rate and calming the body. By focusing on slow, deep breaths, individuals can activate the parasympathetic nervous system, which counteracts the fight or flight response and promotes relaxation. Progressive muscle relaxation, which involves tensing and then relaxing different muscle groups, can also help release physical tension and reduce the effects of adrenaline. Mindfulness meditation is another powerful tool for managing anxiety. Mindfulness involves focusing on the present moment without judgment, allowing individuals to observe their thoughts and physical sensations without getting caught up in them. By practicing mindfulness regularly, individuals can become more aware of the signs of anxiety and better equipped to manage the physical and emotional responses that come with adrenaline. Mindfulness can help break the cycle of fear and stress, allowing individuals to acknowledge the physical sensations of anxiety without letting them spiral out of control. Cognitive behavioral therapy, CBT, is another effective approach for managing anxiety and the negative effects of adrenaline. CBT helps individuals identify and challenge the thought patterns that contribute to anxiety. By recognizing the triggers for anxiety and learning to reframe negative thoughts, individuals can reduce the intensity of their emotional and physical responses to stress. CBT can also help individuals develop coping strategies for managing adrenaline in everyday life, empowering them to take control of their emotions and reduce the impact of anxiety on their well-being. While adrenaline is an essential hormone that helps us respond to stress and danger, its role in anxiety and the negative effects of chronic stress cannot be ignored. When adrenaline is released in response to stress or anxiety, it can cause physical symptoms like a racing heart, muscle tension, and shallow breathing, which can lead to feelings of overwhelming fear and discomfort. Learning to manage the rush of adrenaline and the anxiety it triggers is crucial for maintaining emotional and physical well-being. By practicing relaxation techniques, mindfulness, and cognitive behavioral strategies, individuals can break the cycle of anxiety and use adrenaline to their advantage, turning it from a source of stress into a tool for focus, performance, and personal growth. Adrenaline is a powerful and transformative force within the human body, intricately linked to the complex emotion of fear. It prepares us to react swiftly to threats, heightens our physical capabilities, and sharpens our mental focus. From the rush of adrenaline during extreme sports to the physical responses we feel in high-pressure situations, the experience of fear and adrenaline can be exhilarating, motivating, and even empowering. However, as we've explored throughout the discussion, adrenaline isn't just a byproduct of physical danger. It's a tool that can be harnessed to enhance both our physical performance and our emotional resilience. In many ways, fear has been misunderstood as an emotion to avoid. We often see fear as something negative, something to be suppressed or fled from. Yet, when we understand the physiological and psychological effects of adrenaline, it becomes clear that fear isn't inherently harmful. In fact, fear can be a source of personal growth, resilience, and achievement. Adrenaline is the body's way of preparing us to confront challenges, take on risks, and overcome obstacles. When approached with the right mindset, the fear response can become a powerful tool for achieving greatness and pushing past boundaries. The key to embracing the adrenaline experience lies in how we interpret fear. For some, fear is simply a feeling that paralyzes or causes anxiety. However, for those who choose to embrace it, fear becomes an opportunity to test the limits of the body and mind. The adrenaline rush that accompanies fear transforms this experience into something exhilarating, something that provides clarity, focus, and the ability to perform beyond what we thought possible. Whether it's jumping out of an airplane, pushing through the final miles of a marathon, or confronting a personal challenge, the adrenaline released in those moments propels us toward achievement. While adrenaline plays a central role in helping us face fear, it also has the power to elevate experiences, turning ordinary moments into extraordinary feats. The connection between fear and excitement, the way adrenaline sharpens the senses and enhances performance, has opened the door for extreme sports, thrilling adventures, and personal achievements that were once thought to be out of reach. People today are finding new ways to embrace fear, whether it's through bungee jumping, skydiving, competitive sports, or even confronting social anxieties. The rush of adrenaline is no longer something that just happens by accident. It's actively sought out for the thrill and the reward it provides. Moreover, embracing fear through the lens of adrenaline doesn't have to be about taking physical risks. Fear and adrenaline can also be harnessed in everyday life, whether in public speaking, high-stakes meetings, or dealing with stressful situations. Understanding how to use adrenaline to fuel focus and action, rather than being overwhelmed by it, allows us to face life's challenges with greater confidence and calm. Adrenaline's role in modern life extends beyond extreme experiences. It plays a vital role in how we navigate daily stresses and high-pressure moments. Yet, it's important to remember that, like any powerful tool, adrenaline can have its drawbacks when not managed properly. Chronic stress, overexposure to adrenaline, or an unrelenting pursuit of thrill can lead to burnout, anxiety, and negative health effects. Striking a balance between embracing fear and maintaining control is essential. By learning to manage the physiological effects of adrenaline, practicing mindfulness, and reframing how we approach fear, we can tap into the benefits of adrenaline while avoiding its potential pitfalls. The goal is not to eliminate fear or adrenaline, but to learn how to use them as a catalyst for growth, achievement, and well-being. Ultimately, adrenaline represents the body's ability to adapt, respond, and perform under pressure. It is a natural response to the challenges we face, and when harnessed correctly, it can propel us forward. By embracing fear and recognizing the potential for growth that comes from confronting it, we open ourselves up to a world of possibilities, whether in extreme experiences, sports, or personal challenges. Fear, driven by adrenaline, becomes not something to fear, but something to embrace as a key part of our ability to thrive in a constantly changing world. So, the next time you feel that familiar rush of adrenaline, whether in a thrilling adventure or a nerve-wracking moment, remember that it's more than just a biological response. It's a reminder that you are capable, that you can face challenges head-on, and that the potential for personal growth lies in embracing the experience of fear and the adrenaline that comes with it. When approached with the right mindset, fear is not a barrier. It's a stepping stone toward greater achievement, excitement, and a fuller, more engaged life.